when we hunt, I'm Batman.
He's Batman and I'm Robin. And I'm cool with that. No, I really am. Like,
yeah.
Like, and we'll get into that as we like saw the buck and everything, but
It was crazy. We should have divvied up everything.
we should, well, and that was the thing is I thought we had an equal amount in gear. And then when I put his pack on, I was like, what do you have in here? Pillows? I was like, dude, I'm going to freaking cry. He's like, you better not freaking cry.
I gave Jordan a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
I brought him tissues for crying from the video.
I was like, I'm not going to cry, but
Bam.
boom.
All right, folks. Welcome to the Gritty Podcast. I'm here with Casey Harbertson, Isaac Eilman.
Aliman.
Aliman
Gosh dang
Baba Habu.
Maybe by the 5th podcast we'll have this down.
By the way, what's Aliman? Are you?
Aliman. So if you
What's
Google
that?
it, that's how you say German in Spanish.
You're Isaac German?
Yeah, if you look, my last name. That's why, remember we bought the Bahama Mama hot dog?
Yeah.
The German hot dog, and they also said Alimana.
Yeah.
Aliman means German in Spanish.
Okay, so what heritage are you exactly?
My dad always said you're Heinz 57. Basically, Hispanic. I mean, my family's from New Mexico.
Oh,
New Mexico.
I thought you were more Middle Eastern.
See, I get that a lot because I'm tall, dark,
like
got the
Iraqi
beard.
or something.
Nope, I'm not. I'm straight. I mean, that's why in the hunting industry, I just say, hey, my last name's Elman, but the way you pronounce it is Aliman.
Yeah.
But I say it's Elman because we're in the hunting industry and let's be face it, okay? I travel back east sometimes, and
Yeah.
you never know, right? They're like, hey, you one of those guys?
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. Well, 2 days ago, you guys were out hunting, and Casey shot a beautiful, beautiful mule deer with his bow. I have no idea how this went down.
Nobody does.
Nobody does?
Only he does.
Only Isaac?
Yeah.
Cool. Because
Nobody's heard. Well, my wife's heard the story, but
Correct.
no.
Because I want to hear the whole story. I've been looking at the picture. When I saw that buck, I was like, oh my
Oh,
gosh.
The one on Instagram?
Just
And I'm really upset, by the way, Casey.
look at that.
Just you're gonna have to wait.
No, you didn't put the little emoji camera and my name next to it for my photo cred.
Does it count if it's on a tripod?
I pushed the button.
I'm going through to edit it.
I
right
love
now.
the photo, by the way. That in his shoulder and his neck, he's just a stout deer. What a buck. I mean, just body wise. And Isaac, how big do you think what do you think this thing scores?
I don't know.
Just not that we're obsessed over inches, but we are.
Okay, so on the Wasatch, where we killed him anyway, the Wasatch front, I always tell people, whenever you talk to someone, subtract 10, whatever they tell you. Because, I mean,
Right.
and so I'm just going to say somewhere between 160 to 170-ish, right around there, because he's got,
a smoker.
the problem is the picture doesn't show, I mean, he's got some good mass to him.
He's tall too. Here's the thing, though. I've heard that from a few haters that Casey is trying to make it look bigger than it is with the photo.
No, we didn't. No, we did not do the Chuck Adams. No disrespect, but no, we didn't do because if you look, he's not standing behind it.
I know,
And he's
that's
not-
what cracks me up is anyone who's trying to say that Casey's trying to make it look bigger than it is. He's sitting at the same
angle as
Same
it.
angle.
My arm is just grabbing underneath its jaw to hold it up.
No, and I like pictures like this where you're sitting at the same, right next to the animal, because you should celebrate it for what it is.
Correct.
Not what you're trying to make it look like it is.
I've seen a few pictures this year that absolutely disgust me. That people are legitimately, not even Chuck Adamsing, just position it to where their hand is in the right spot to look like it's grabbing the back beam, mainly on elk.
Mm-hmm.
And they're this big. And the elk, I mean, they're a skittle compared to an elk that's a freaking whopper.
No, this is a beautiful photo. And
I could easily have did the point the head down, get behind him. I'm going to lay on the ground, but it was cold. It was getting, it was pretty dark. I'm like, we put on a tripod, put him centered, and
you should have seen us just trying to get it rigged on a tripod. We are not professionals.
No, you did a great job, dude. And here's the thing, that's what I'm talking about is when you take these photos and you capture these images for yourself, it's different than when you're trying to take them to gain the approval of others.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think this is the sort of photo that really says, this is what it was. This is what I've taken, and this is what I'm excited to share. Mm-hmm. That's a different thing than when you're 7 feet behind it, or you've got a wide angle lens and you're tight on the, I just like this. It's beautiful. It's well done. So the old grip and grin, you went for it.
Grin. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. We'll tell you the story of how that hunt went down, which was miraculous. I was proud that we'll talk about the recovery and the
I didn't even know you went hunting.
Nobody did. I just didn't show up to work. The only person
I know we were supposed to do a podcast that day.
I know. I honestly I sent Isaac a message the night before. I was giving him crap because he had posted a picture of, it's an inside joke on his family side, but anytime I see an opportunity to dig on my friends, I do it. So he posts this picture of his godson with a Monster Energy can.
I photoshopped the Monster Energy can.
He photoshops it in and then hashtags Monster Energy. So I take a screenshot, and Isaac works for Easton Archery, and I shoot Easton injection arrows.
Yeah.
And so I text Isaac and I said, "Hey dude, just want you to know
I ordered my first.
I just ordered my full setup of Valkyrie arrows." And so he sends back this, "Dude, no, like, you got to understand it's a family joke." And so he's like trying to defend himself. And this is all going through text. He doesn't know the context of anything I'm saying, doesn't know the emotion. That's what I love and hate about text. And so then I was like, "Dude, don't worry. I was just kidding. It's not a big deal. I ordered gold tips." I didn't order Valkyries. And he's like, "Screw you, dude." So anyways, I think he finally caught on that I was joking around, but I was like, "Hey, when are we going hunting?" Like literally. So my life is incredibly crazy, for good reasons, but it's absolutely crazy. I had one day to hunt this year. And so
the front,
one day to hunt the front. So I got that tag, an archery tag, which it started in, August, and I had zero desire and zero intention to hunt with that tag until this week with this person.
I mean, because we've been going once. I mean, we always plan a day. I mean, for a while now, just
for the last 4 years.
Because the first time I went, I took him, and Jordan hit me up and started giving me crap. Oh, I wasn't invited, and this and that. So I told him because Utah is known for having their little teams, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I go, yeah, well, he's on my team. We're Team Lone Rangers.
And we are the Lone Rangers.
And I told Jordan, well, your wife's on my team. So I always said Team Lone Rangers with the cool Jordan. And I would always take Jordan. I'd always tease each other. But Casey, I mean, just we started hunting together. I mean, we made sure once a year we go out. Just him and I go out and just have fun.
So that's the thing is like where I hunt elk, I could technically bring my deer tag. And like you talked about in our last podcast, I don't even bring that tag because I don't even have any desire, and I don't even want the temptation of hunting because I want to hunt with Isaac this week, the week of Thanksgiving. We're going out somewhere.
Deer rutting.
I have to have a tag, and so every year I will get, as long as I can draw it, an archery tag so that we can do this in Utah.
Yeah,
and it's just kind of become our.
And this
tradition.
is like a 1 point draw. Or 2 point?
It depends because it's kind of interesting. You just have to get a archery tag.
Any archery tag.
And then once it turns into the extended, which is after like September 15th, any archery tag can go to that extended area.
So let me real quick. I want to touch base on the Wasatch Front, what it is real quick. So in Utah, we have an extended archery hunt, which if you have any archery tag in Utah, you can hunt the extended unit. And the Wasatch Front is an area that they made it archery only almost, I want to say, I'm close to 30 years ago. And they did it as a deprivation hunt because a lot of deer were coming down into the city and, coming on down, getting hit by cars, by, up in the areas.
Yeah.
So they made it an archery, Division of Wildlife made an archery only unit. But by doing that, I want to talk to someone at Division, but I don't think they realized by making it that, they turned that into a great unit. I mean, some great deer have come off of that mountain. I mean, it's blown me away. It's because it's been archery only, and they didn't intend to make it kind of like a trophy unit.
Right.
But it's a different area. It's a different type of hunt. And that's one of the things we'll probably I want to talk about that later, explain to people that, it's not your backcountry hunt, but you feel like it is. We always call it the front. Frank Peralta, he labeled it the front country.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, so the Wasatch Front's an extended archery unit. Any archery tag you could hunt from September 15th, was it?
Yeah, whenever it switches, it changes every year based on the way the calendar
till the end of November.
Okay.
So, and it's public land. A lot of the areas you hunt, there are no horses, no ATVs allowed up there,
and it's a rut mule deer hunt.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
when you get it, when you start coming later into here, because we could be going the same area in September, but it's a completely different area in September than it is
absolutely
this time.
You're going to have bucks on their feet moving around that you wouldn't have in September.
Yep. So I always wait until the last week, which some people are like, man, you're freaking crazy. Like, for example, David DeAustin that works here at Mountain Officer Photographer.
Yeah.
He hunts a similar area, and he's there every weekend and sometimes during the week from like September 15th.
Which I understand if you're not like you going on a whole bunch of other opportunities, right?
Exactly.
If you live right here and you're doing it before, after work, on weekends, the day off here and there, it's perfect for for the guy who doesn't have a lot of time off and the luxury of going somewhere.
It's perfect, but it's risky because I definitely could walk away at the end of the season with nothing, and I've done that. The last 2 years, actually.
You mean the way you do it?
The way I do it.
Yes. Right.
Because I wait after September or November 30th or whatever the last day of November 30th. Is. It's does only from there on.
Actually, it's not anymore. No.
Oh, did
they shut that? They shut that down.
Really?
Yeah, about 3 years ago. So it's because I wish they still had that because it used to be from December 1st to the 15th.
Yeah.
You could take does. And I'm like, man, I'd love to take a recurve out and just go out there and just,
Yeah.
But yeah, they shut that down actually.
Oh, okay.
They ended it about 2-3 years ago.
I've never hunted after the end of November. I've never hunted in December here in Utah, so I wouldn't know. But at the same time, too, I've never even hunted for does when it was.
Yeah.
I just always wanted to shoot a buck with that tag.
So every year you've been going this week, Thanksgiving week, with Isaac.
Around then, yeah. Or a week before.
Roughly from about the 10th to the 29th. 30th.
That first time we went, when you threw up, so when you threw up.
I've never heard the end of that, by the way. Every time I go, I hear it.
First time we went up, I took Casey. Mountain Ops, man. Gets up there and he's got his pack full. So I always get these breakfast burritos.
Uh-huh.
All right. And they're like the best thing to have. So I brought him breakfast burrito. And he downed it right before we went on this hike. And it's, you're gaining a lot of altitude when you're hiking some of these areas. And he ate that breakfast burrito and threw up. And ever since then, I just had to.
I don't eat breakfast. And I felt bad because he bought me this giant burrito. And I'm like, if I don't eat this, he's going to feel bad. And so I pound this burrito halfway up the trail. Dude, it's coming back up. I mean, I will pound some Ignite, and that's all that sits in my stomach when I hike, and that's all I want. Like, I can't have food.
Yeah.
And so every year, like, he brought me a breakfast sandwich the other day. I just left it in the bag, dude. Like, I'm not freaking eating it. Year before that, bought me a burrito, left it in the bag. Like, it's coming up.
Yeah.
We're going to save this so we can reheat it when we get back to the truck. But
So you do this hunt. So tell me how this went down, because you didn't show up for work.
Okay, so I'm giving Isaac crap over text, and I'm like, dude, when are we going to go? And I can't remember if you said
I just said, let's go tomorrow.
So I'm like, sweet, dude. Meet at the parking lot, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock.
Yep. And the thing is, like, at my work too, my boss was gone, everyone's gone. So I just went to the calendar and wrote, I saw Isaac out. I'm like, maybe they won't know if I'm gone or not. So I didn't even show up either, which I'm still waiting to see what's happening when I go back Monday. But I didn't even go to work.
So nobody knew. So I had people calling me from work, and they're like, Casey, I needed this from you. So we were going to do a podcast. Totally blew you off. But I just knew, like, I didn't have any other day to be able to do this. I'm going with Isaac. We're doing this. I'm gonna take some flack from some people, but
me too.
I don't care.
That's how hunting works.
Same with me.
We meet up, hop in Isaac's truck, bounce up to the trailhead. We start hiking. We hunted it a little bit different this year than we typically have. Isaac, whether you want to tell the story or I'll just briefly go over it. So Isaac just kept telling me, like, dude, I want to go this way, but I have this haunting, and I've had this haunting for a long time, that we actually need to go this way, but everything in my body is telling me to go this with plan A. So as we're getting out of the truck and putting our gear together, another truck rolls up, and I don't know if this is what like pushed you over the edge or what, but we're talking to the guy that's packing up his stuff. He's another hunter getting ready to hike in, and Isaac was just asking him like, hey man, what, you going to this basin? You going to this basin? Where you go? And he's like, oh, I'm going to this basin, which was our plan A. And so I don't know if that's what tipped the scales, and you're like, okay, dude, if he's going there, there's already 10 other trucks in the trailhead. Like, let's go with plan B. So I'm like, dude, I don't freaking care. Like, we're just going to have fun, whether we go to plan A, plan B, whether we see a deer, whether we don't. Like, that's what our hunt is all about. It's just, we have so much fun because our relationship is 100% based on giving each other crap. 100%.
Right.
And when we hunt, I'm Batman.
He's Batman and I'm Robin. And I'm cool with that. No, I really am. Like, like, and we'll get into that as we like saw the buck and everything. But, so anyways, we start going up the trailhead, but we wanted to wait. Typically what guys will do is they'll burn to the very top of the mountain.
Yes.
In the dark.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to see what was up the trail because bucks are cruising this time of year. Yeah. So we're going to go slow up the trail and eventually make it to the top, but possibly have some opportunity along the way.
Yeah. See, I've hunted this area a lot. And, you know, one thing, too, to let people know about hunting the Wasatch Front, I mean, it's a chess game. I 100%. Mean, it's a 100% chess game because there's a lot. You're going to see a lot of people there. I mean, just think about it. That's like hunting Colorado mule deer rifle. Like there's hunters everywhere. Yes, I mean when we went off after our elk, we had a guy racing us to the same elk. Okay, that's what it's like here because you got to remember every archery tag Utah gives. Then you have any limited entry archery tag that doesn't get filled, and all the dedicated hunters in Utah, they could hunt the extended. So you're looking at it is packed with people. So I told Casey, we're going to hunt this. A good buddy of mine named Brian, he's the one who told me, hunt smarter, not harder. Because I used to kill myself trying to get to the top of the peak only to have eyes all around me. Yeah. So that's what we did on this one. We're going to hunt this one a little different. We're going to do, I'm going to call it trail hunting is what we kind of did. Yeah. And so what was cool is, so we get only a quarter way up the trail and boom, first doe. So... And Isaac and I vlogged this whole hunt. So we're going to put together a vlog, which it's probably going to be one of the most epic, not from like a shot perspective, but just like pure. The way it panned out. Just the way the entire day it's really out. Just like, to me, there's two things that you know, when you're filming, there's two things that are ever present. There's the brotherhood and the camaraderie and just the, hey, this is what's going on. And then there's these epic shots of stalks and animals. And to me, I find myself most of the time just enjoying the banter and the brotherhood. There's a lot of that over the other stuff, you know? So we see this deer, immediately the cameras come out. Stock number one, too. That's what's great, too, is we said stock number one. Stock number one. Here we haven't even left the trail yet, but we're on stock number one now. So we start making our way, and boom, this 3-point pops out, okay? Now, I got to tell you, and I got to preface this because this was a big factor into what happened yesterday. So I switched, before we went to Ohio to hunt whitetails, I switched my release to a thumb release, which I've never shot before. Yep. Except for just, you know, at the target 100 times or whatever. And then I switched over to that new Garmin Zero sight. Yeah. Which you and I sighted out to 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay. Right. By the time I got back from Ohio, didn't have enough time to extend my range to 60, 70, 80 or anything else. Yeah. So my max effective distance was 50 yards. Okay. Okay. And we're sitting in the truck, and he goes, maybe I should throw my other side on. He's like, no, I'm good. I was going to just bolt my throw my other side on, which I can go out to like 120 with that. It probably would have been faster just to go and shoot an 80-yard shot with the Garmin and then just say, you know, if you did that like the day before you left, or whatever. But that would mean that I had actually planned on going hunting. Yeah. Like, you know, that there was actually like some coordination. Yeah, but it takes like two shots basically, and you could be sighted into 80. If we would have had a foam target, I probably would have done that in the parking lot, honestly. But that was the thing is I was just like, I told Isaac, I said, "Okay, Isaac,
My handicap today is I have to get within 50 yards or I can't shoot.
It's not a bad limitation to put on yourself. In fact, that's why the Garmin does that, is because from their perspective, they're like, you shouldn't be, it can project your ranges for you.
Yeah.
You can say, you can range out to 80 and then it'll project the 80-yard pin for you. And during setup, and you can say, it's this, did you hit the bullseye? You can say yes, and you'll have like an archer's edge guess. That's without confirming it. But you're supposed to have confirmed it to create that pin. So you could have created that pin yesterday just by saying, yep, I shot to 80, but not shooting to 80.
And do you know what? Actually, as I was sitting out there, I thought about doing that because I knew how to do that. But I was like, I want to, and Isaac even said like, hey, dude, the sweet spot here is 70 to 80 yards. And I'm like, dude, I'm cutting that by 30 yards. Like, and trust me, that became a factor yesterday. Like stock number 1, I ranged the deer. He's at 69 yards. This is a 3-point. Now, mind you, I have 1 day to hunt.
Yeah.
So guess what I'm going after?
Just like anything that's legal?
Everything, well, not everything that's legal. Because trust me, I passed some that were legal that we were not packing out of there.
Yeah.
Anything that got me excited. This 3-point, I'm excited.
Yeah.
So I'm 69 yards away broadside. And I'm like, Isaac, I can't shoot that. I got to cut 19 yards. And guess what? There's no freaking heck I'm cutting 19 yards because I got to go through all these willows and then I got to get on the hillside and I got to expect that deer not to move.
Right.
Not happen. And he knows we're there. We're on the freaking trail. And there's a lot of hikers and bikers and just different, traffic that will run through there that he's not thinking I'm going to die right now. He's just thinking there's some of those weird things that I see that smell weird and look funny and they're on that piece of dirt and blah, blah, blah. That's what's going through his mind. But as soon as I start advancing to him, not going to happen. So we get like, I don't know. I think, and then he I had a doe. The doe was at 54. So I knew I could cut 4 and be able to, if he came over to that doe, which he started to, that I could get a shot and boom, dude. I said, Isaac, like, are we really going to do this right now? Like,
yeah.
And he's like, yeah, dude, you shoot him. We'll gut him. We'll tag him. We'll hang him in a tree and then we'll go film my tag. And I'm like, perfect. Okay. I'm going to go kill this deer. So I'm waiting for this deer to cut across over to this doe, which he keeps looking at her. She's the hot doe. He's why she's in there, or she's why he's in there. And finally he goes over, like gets about 60 yards now.
Yeah.
That doe comes over to him and then they make their way up the mountain.
Straight up the mountain.
And so it's like stock number 1,
Done.
No dice.
Yep.
Okay. So then we go up the trail a little bit. We get to this nice opening where we can sit down and glass, and we're glassing that big basin that we wanted to go to, spot A. Okay. What do we see immediately? Herd of deer. Little buck. Then we see another little buck. Herd of deer. So we're like, man, did we make the right choice? Like, option A looked really good. And from that vantage point, you can't really see who's in there.
Yeah. And that's one of the things too. Another thing to talk about also, people, when you want to hunt the Wasatch Front, and, not being too, try not to be too negative here, but it's the fact that is when you're hunting up there and you see a deer, and you want to plan your stock, I tell everyone, you see a deer, get ready to plan your stock, but then right away, glass all around because you have no idea how many people will be moving in on that deer. So that's what you do, because there are times where you see a deer. I brought Frank out here hunting with me last year. Fresh snow tracks, brand new snow tracks. We're the only ones in there. Okay, fresh powder. We see a deer. I'm like, Frank, first stock. There you go, buddy. Let's go get him. No other tracks in front of us. We're the first ones in. Frank starts moving up, looks up. There's a guy coming in from the west.
Yeah.
And he looks at me. I go, yeah, that's what. Sorry, man. All the trails connect. All the trails in the Wasatch Front connect. Yeah. And no matter how high and far up you get, your people come from all over the place.
So if you start going 10 miles, by the time you get to mile 5, you're getting to the guy that's hitting mile 5 coming from the other trailhead. And so him to hit 10 miles is your trailhead, you to hit 10 miles is his trailhead. That's how every trail works here.
Right.
So you can't really go too far away.
Yeah.
It's just not possible.
It's like Colorado where we were hunting over the counter, elk.
Okay.
It's the same thing, public land.
Yeah.
You're everywhere you go. I was joking with Anthony. I was like, yeah, I'd like to keep my shots under, 400 with the rifle. And, I said, and honestly, it's ridiculous to shoot further than that. I mean, If I can't sneak up on an animal, what I meant is like effectiveness. Like if I can't sneak up on an animal to get within 400 yards, then something's wrong. And he's like, Brian, that's not the problem. The problem is that someone else is going to shoot it at 1,200 or 1,800 before you get your 400 yards. And literally we had 27 guys the first morning all on the same hillside, 27 different hunters. And we're like, well, if I did see a deer and he was 600 and I wanted to get to 4, there was 10 other guys that could have shot him at 8.
Yeah.
Before I even put my stock on the thing. So, but what I found, despite these high pressure, like human beings walking everywhere, and this is something that mentally Anthony and I are, we've talked about. There's still a lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
In spite of all these, it's discouraging. You're like, I'm not going to go back. There's orange people in orange everywhere. It's hunters everywhere. This is stupid. I'm not doing it. But he's like, my uncle was like, Anthony, are you getting into deer? He's like, yeah, like every day. Do you kill a deer every year? Yeah, I kill a great buck every year. Then why are you complaining?
Yeah.
See, same with here. I mean, because I've hunted this enough. I mean, I've put so much time in hunting some of these areas that I know where certain pockets are. Mm-hmm. And that's what I was telling him about. Yeah. I mean,
well, and so that's where, as we're making our way up, so
Casey's going to take me to your spot next year.
Do you know how many guys have asked me? So listen to this, Brian. So we're sitting next to Mule Deer Jesus. Okay. That is his name, or the Wasatch OG.
Okay.
So once posts started coming out, this is years back, that I was hunting with Isaac. Mm-hmm. You want to talk about hate? How the freak did you get a hunt with Isaac? Yeah. And that's why I wanted to preface this, like, 6 years ago, Isaac hated me. Like, physically, mentally.
Hate's a strong word, isn't it?
I was the old bull, and he was this young bull coming in, and I'm like, not happening.
And my intent in creating a relationship with Isaac wasn't that I wanted to use him for his knowledge. It was, I thought he was freaking hilarious, and I'm like, I like funny people. Like, you keep telling me to leave your office, but you're making me laugh too much, so I'm not going to leave. Like, and you're calling me all these names, but I don't care. I like you. Like,
he's so damn nice. The problem was, that guy's nice, man.
I find
he and Jordan are pretty funny too.
I know they are.
But no, so I did. I've actually gotten a fair amount of hate from the fact that Isaac has taken me hunting, and people have asked him, begged him, pleaded, and he's like, sorry, not going to happen, So I do honestly feel
gratitude.
Oh, like, especially after yesterday, the way this pans out and the story you'll hear, like, there's a brotherhood and a bond here, which I told him, I was like, dude, you're more than a friend. You're a freaking brother to me. And it's been that way even before yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday solidified it, the way that we sacrifice for each other. And so, like, what happened was, we're glassing this basin, seeing deer all over. These are roughly a mile or so as the crow flies away, but probably a 4-mile hike to get back into them. And so Isaac's like, hey, there's this spot I really want to take you. It's an elementary school,
Yeah, we dubbed it the elementary school.
But we got to still, make it up further, and let's keep going on the trail. So we kind of cut through some thick pines, and we see this deer butt. And so we're like, all right, what is it? Buck, doe? Can't tell. He's making its way through the trees. And so it makes its way. It's gone. And I was like, dude, that looked like a big freaking butt. Like, that's gotta be a buck. Like, that was just an abnormally large back end.
Yeah.
So we start making our way. Boom. In the trail, 2 does. So we're like, hey, sweet. Okay. If there's does, there's like a 95% chance there's going to be a buck this time of year. So does see us, don't really care too much, but we really want to see what was that in the tree. So we started advancing towards the does, which our ADD totally kicks in. Instead of being like, let's see.
Him and we both have the same personality, ADHD. I mean, it's bad.
So instead of waiting to see what comes down to the does, we're like, let's blow the does out so that we can see what comes and chases them.
And our goal was, I'm like, we're going to hunt slow and quiet. Okay.
Yeah. That lasted about 5 minutes.
Oh, I mean, we got to the top and I'm laughing. He's like, "What are you laughing?" I'm like, we got up here way too fast.
So these does kind of blow out a little bit, and nothing comes and follows them. And we're like, dang it! Like, I wonder what's going on. Like, maybe that wasn't the hot doe, or maybe I don't know. We're just trying to figure this out. So we come around this bend where that big butt had gone over, and boom, monster 2-point sitting on the hillside right there. And that's what the big butt was. But there's also another doe. So this guy's interested in this doe, not those other two. And so we're looking at him. He's kind of following this doe. No shot opportunity, but we're like, all right, stock 2 is on. And then all of a sudden, he actually came from the other hillside down and across the trail, 150 yards in front of us. And so, dude, I'm like, he's going down. Stock number 2's on. Like, so I start kind of running in the trail, and we're in the snow now, so we can be a little bit more quiet, which was nice. And so I get to where he's standing out in this opening. I draw back, and I range him, and he's at 62 yards. Effective range, 50 yards.
So it tells you beyond calibrated range.
Yep, exactly. And so I physically cannot shoot at this point. And so I'm like, oh, dude, 69 or 62 would be so easy. Like, I could dump him right now. And I'm just like so frustrated at myself that I didn't make that sight switch, or I didn't do this. And I'm like, oh, I just so in this peril. And he kind of makes his way up around this tree and up the hillside. So I just book it to this tree. And I get to the tree and I look up on the hillside, and he's sitting there feeding in the grass, butt right at me. So I draw back and range him with the sight, and he's at 39 yards. And I've got perfect Texas heart shot at 39 yards. And so I'm like, sweet. Pin drops right where I need it to. Just sitting there waiting at full draw. I don't want to take that shot. I know he has no idea I'm there. I'm waiting for him to turn. I'm so excited I'm going to smoke this deer. He turns, and I keep my ranging on. So keeps ranging, ranges him at 40, let it go, pin drops, and he's still walking, but walking just broadside on me. And so I go, meh, to try and stop him. Well, it went, meh.
Yeah.
My jaw hit my thumb.
Oh.
And I shot.
Never using the thumb release before.
Yeah.
Yeah, you made a few, like, your sight wasn't ready, new thumb release.
Yes. Which I can shoot lights out. I can shoot better with that than the trigger.
We were just.
Oh, I love it.
I do too.
I brought it to Ohio, but I never got a shot on an animal with it.
Yeah.
But that was kind of my like, oh, go to Ohio, try it, mix everything up.
It's so easy to like, to the thumb is, well, it's the same with an index release.
It is, but my finger's over here. The trigger's not. I mean, so I hit.
If you're not familiar with anything new,
I had never done the meh before with it,
and you just pulled the trigger.
Well, no, my jaw hit my thumb.
Yeah,
because the way it rests is like my thumb, which I got to figure out if I need to fix this. Yeah. But that joint sits right here on my jaw, and that's kind of like another little anchor point that I know I'm in the right spot. And dude, I shot underneath this thing. I shot in the dirt right underneath his belly. Cause as the meh went down, so did the bow. So anyways, clean miss on this guy. And so Isaac comes up. He's like, dude, what happened? What happened? As I'm like retrieving my arrow, I was like, man, I freaking crapped the bed. He's like, what? I was like, I did the meh and the arrow went off. Totally missed this guy. And he's like, well, dude, let's keep going. I had no idea where the buck went.
Well, actually, the funny part is, though, I'm on the video, too. I'm videoing him. And I'm like, because, the perception is like, we only want to, Casey, Mountain Ops, he only wants to kill big deer. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm like, so, Casey, I mean, so are you okay with killing a 2-point? He goes, I just missed a 2-point, Isaac. I'm like, good point. Okay, never. So I wanted to talk about that because we're having a fun time just vlogging. Because this whole trip was to vlog. And I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about, try to get a little vlog together about the Wasatch Front and how make sure, because, public lands and keep it, safe, protected, and so I go, let's do a fun video. And I mean, really, we went up there to hang out and just hunt and have fun. And so, and we killed 2-point.
It would be
because a year before, because a year actually, 366 days ago before, he killed his first deer the year before. I mean, almost to the date.
First deer with a bow. Yep.
So
and it was a 2-point. It was a big 2-point, and I never killed a 2-point before. I'd killed a 2x3, 2x4, a 3x3, 4x4, 4x5. Like I've killed everything but a 2x2.
Yeah.
And so I got it with a bow, big old 2-point. Frank was there, Isaac was there, that day was awesome as well. And so it was like, you know, for me, I don't feel like I have anything to prove to anybody. And so I would be just as excited of that 2-point that I shot at as missed as I was the buck that I actually harvested.
Yeah.
That's just how I am. I literally have nothing to prove to anybody. I hunt for me and I don't hunt for anybody else. And so, you know, we're sitting there, we're laughing about the situation, and Isaac's like, all right, dude, well, let's just keep going. Like, I mean, this is good. We're only like 30, 45 minutes into this hunt.
Correct.
And we've already got a shot off. Like, that was at 9:00.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
it's a promising day.
yeah, I mean, it's like, dude, it's going to be good. So we keep making our way left where we can go, which sends us back into that basin where we saw all those deer. Oh, and we actually saw a really nice buck. We did see that one big 4-point.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Yeah. So we saw one big 4-point up in that basin that we were originally going to go to. And he just kind of stayed in this little grove of trees, totally killable area.
Yes.
But Isaac's like, look, dude, I think we should just go over here, just go check it out. And you've never been in here. Let's just go look real quick. So I'm like,
let's go have lunch because the sun was popping out too.
I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm down for whatever. So we hike back in this area and boom, we run into our first group of hunters. And we were actually pretty both surprised that was the first time we'd ran into hunters. Typically you run into them a lot. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so we sat down and just talked with them as a husband and wife that were hunting up there and just asked them how it's going. And they'd been up there for a couple of days and hadn't seen. They said they saw 3 does in the last like 2 days. And we were just like, man, like, well, we've already seen like 16. So like, where are you guys hunting? So they were telling us where they were hunting. We're like, we'll make sure to stay out of those spots. But we left, went over to the spot where we really just wanted to grab some food, chill. And it's this big bowl area, and sat down and just, started talking, doing some vlogging.
Isn't it interesting how you can be in the same spot, more or less, run into other hunters, and you can be like, yeah, I saw like 20 bucks today, and they've seen 1 or 0.
Or 0.
Like,
that literally happened.
The elementary.
And that's what I find, like, it's something Anthony brought up in our last podcast when we talked about this public land rat race, you know, that there's a skill in hunting and there's tactics that work and tactics that aren't as effective. And you'll see those guys that we run across mostly are guys that just kind of walk. And at some point they're hoping to bump into something and have it stand up and then they get a shot. That's their strategy. And it can work, right? Like we've all done it. When I was a kid, that's how we hunted. We just started walking around and hoping we bumped into something. But now the way I hunt big mule deer or elk or whatever is completely different. I'm behind the glass a lot and I'm waiting. I'm patient, waiting until something lays down and moving in.
And
that wasn't us.
Well, but it was though.
Yes.
Because when we sat down, we were planning on being there maybe 20, 30 minutes.
And mind you, lunchtime.
We had just
mid-lunch.
No, it was like
the plan was
10 o'clock.
The plan was to be at that spot by noon. We hit it at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
we were a little too ambitious getting up that morning.
Yes.
Too much ignite that morning. So what happened is, you know, we just talked to this husband and wife, walked about 100 yards or less, sat down and started eating. I introduced Isaac to Sour Patch Fires.
Yes.
And
oh yeah. Okay. Just like you'll see on the vlog. I mean, it's a lot like, you know, I can't explain it. I mean, you know,
they're good, aren't they?
They're
like
good. Yeah. And just as far as trying to explain it though, it's like Nickelback's success. How do you, I don't know. Can't explain it.
Like I just like to chomp them when I'm hiking.
Yeah, it was really different. So he introduced me to that.
So then we're sitting there eating some snacks, introducing him to Sour Patch Fire, and it's funny because we both look up and immediately we're like, doe, like 300 yards away, doe. And we're like, hey, look, there's like these guys saw 3, like maybe they should have dropped right here. You know, and then all of a sudden, across the valley, a doe runs right across the valley from.
And are you seeing this with your naked eye?
Yeah. We're vlogging too, by the way.
We're being so loud, like talking, just totally screwing around.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, 300 yards away, this doe runs through the valley. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then like 4 seconds later, as the doe gets to the end, this 4-point comes out right on her freaking trail. And I'm like, how do we kill that? And he stops in the middle of the valley.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think we ranged him. It was like 340 yards away or something like that. And I'm like, Isaac, I got to cut like 300 yards off. And so this buck's just kind of acting like he's going to hang out in the middle of the valley. So I'm like, all right, should I go after him? Like, do you want him? No, you don't want him? Okay, I want him. I'll go after him. So then we kind of like have this little debate of who's going to kill him. And finally, I'm like, all right, I'm going to go. Well, that was about 10 seconds too long because he really didn't hang around that long. And I could have never made it. But then he started making his way, went up in the tree. So I'm like, screw it. Well, then about, 10 minutes later, that doe runs back through. And I'm like, dude, if that freaking doe just ran back through, that means that buck's coming back through. Yep. So I just ditch everything, grab my bow, load up, and I start going. Yeah. And then without fail, whoop, buck came back through, but it was a lot closer this time. So I ranged where they went through, walked up into the trees, went back, ranged Isaac. I'm like, perfect. This is where they went into the trees.
Yep.
So I went up into the trees. Dude, there was deer everywhere in those trees.
But they were all like spikes and 2 points in there.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was just little, it was a little patch.
That's where the sex was happening.
But it was
lots of sex.
Yeah, a lot. Mm-hmm. But it was the what do you call it when you go to college? A fraternity, whatever.
Frat party.
Yeah, frat party. Yeah.
Totally, dude. And so all of a sudden I start going in here and I'm following these deer's track and the ones that had been chasing. And I can tell because there's like the jive and like, whatever you want to call it, where they're going all over the place. It's not a straight trail. And so I'm following this and then all of a sudden I'm just seeing deer like pop up everywhere. So I'm like, no. And none of them were does, all small bucks. Mm-hmm. And I'm like 20 yards away from these, 25 yards, 30 yards, 40 yards in this aspen grove. And
they all can smell.
No. So the wind's coming.
No. I mean, they smell the ladies.
Oh,
yes.
And
dude,
the ladies hanging out there and they just want to smell it. They just want to be in it.
Yes.
They just want to be near it. They
were, dude. And that's the thing is I never found that doe in 4-point. But dude, I was busting bucks out everywhere.
And that 4-point didn't come out though. And he thought he busted and he came back over.
Well, so what happened was I did see a buck that I thought was maybe it. And I finally saw a doe and it was kind of cruising back towards this little bench area. Mm-hmm. And so I hurried and boogied down. And the way this valley worked is it kind of split into a V where there was 2 openings. And so I saw them cutting across one opening into some pine. So I hurried and boogied down and got on the other opening to watch them come across. Mm-hmm. And so as they come, as I get into there, another big 2-point walks out. And so I'm like, all right, how far is he? So I range him 64 yards.
There'd have been a lot of carbon in the air if he had his sight set up. Like there would have been a lot of, I mean, if he didn't kill one, if he didn't tag out on the first one, second one, third one,
so I'm sitting there and it's 64 yards and he cuts across this opening and then makes his way up and just feeds at like 70 something yards. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, all right, so he doesn't know I'm here. If the deer are going to come out, they're going to see he's here. They're going to feel safe. Like I'm just going to sit here. And I start looking around, dude. This place is a highway. Deer have been coming out all over. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm just going to sit here. Mind you, I have no way of communicating what's going on back to Isaac. Mm-hmm. And so I'm just kind of sitting there like.
And you're going to sit there and you're how far from a trail?
I think it would have been about 35 to 40, somewhere in there. And so I'm just waiting. I don't know. How long did I sit there?
Not very long.
No. ADD. ADD kicked in and then I was like.
Isaac's not impressed.
Well, actually he's there and I'm vlogging. So I grabbed the camera and I'm vlogging. I'm like, hey, if this Mountain Off vlog, just so you know, this hat I'm wearing, is an Easton hat. You could buy it at Easton.
Yeah, he's doing shameless Easton vlogs Mountain Off's vlog. So I'm just sitting there. I'm like, okay, Isaac doesn't really know what's up. Like, I haven't seen this buck come out. He could have already crossed over. I'm just going to make my way back. Like, all right, well, this has been really fun, but let's go to let's go to the junior high. You know,
yeah, because they're all small bucks.
They're all small bucks, and that 4-point was maybe like a 120-ish, just small little forky guy. Yeah. Totally happy with him, but nothing to like really stay in the area for.
Yeah.
And so we start to pack our gear up, literally get it all packed up. And I look back on that mountain, and on that little finger that I was sitting in, I was like, buck, big buck, buck. And he's like, where? And I'm like, where I was sitting. Mind you, this is like 20 minutes later. Okay. Another buck, bigger buck, came out of that grove of trees in between the two little openings. Mm-hmm. And he's a nice 3x4. Mm-hmm. So we pull the spotting scope out, start looking at him. He's hot on this doe. Okay. And he's making his way up towards this bench. So I'm like,
and we're also arguing though. He's like, is that the same one? I'm like, I don't know. We weren't sure. I go, the other 4-point was small. I mean, looked smaller, but I don't know, maybe it is the same buck. So we don't know at this time, we're just like buck, and like everything goes out the window. It's like, okay, let's go.
So I drop all my stuff, just take my bow. I get hooked up with a radio. So in Utah, you can actually use communication.
Yeah.
And so, got hooked up with a radio so that Isaac could be in my ear and kind of tell me what was going on. Mm-hmm. So I then, instead of making a direct path to this guy, I went around to the ridge, hiked up the ridge, got on the same elevation as that bench and went all the way over and got on top of that bench in anticipation for him coming up to the bench. Well, when I got up on the bench, I saw that all the tracks, none of them were really coming across the bench. Mm-hmm. All the tracks were around and into the pine. So I'm like, okay, if that's where he's going to go, because he's somewhere below me, I need to be in that spot. Mm-hmm. And so I went and got in that spot. And as I got in that spot, I immediately heard like this blowing. And I'm like, all right, that's got to be something. What is it? And
like an alarm blow or just a wheeze?
Just like a wheeze. Yeah. And then immediately this little 1x2 comes up the hill and crosses the trail that I just walked on and kind of stops. And then I'm standing in the wide open at this point, and I just get my camera out or my phone, and I start filming him on my phone, and he's just kind of looking my way, not really thinking much. Then looking downhill, then looking uphill, then looking behind him. And I'm just filming him all. This is at 10 yards.
I'm going to see the video.
Here, I'll show you it. So okay. So this is the buck I'm going after right here.
Oh, jeez. What?
Yeah.
Dude, that's a killer buck.
Okay, that's the one.
He's super cool.
Okay, you got video of the one.
That's not just a little 3x4. I mean,
no.
His frame is beautiful. He's not deep tined, but
no, he's kind of crabby, but he's just got a sweet frame, and he's super tall.
Yeah, dude, he's a freaking stud.
So that's
Look
where
at
I'm
all
like,
that snow.
Yeah,
you're in the snow.
So that's where I'm like, all right, boom, we're going after him. So then,
this is close to where you were at.
This is when that 1x2 comes.
Oh, they're so dumb. The young ones are so dumb.
So dumb, okay?
I'm always talking about, like, when you're talking about a 2-year-old, even 3-year-old deer, you're dealing with a pretty dumb animal.
Yeah.
Like, they're curious, they're dumb.
So Here's what happened. So he finally heads, so he came up from the bottom up here.
Yeah.
He just kind of, after a little while, you'll see, he turns around and then makes his way back down.
Yeah.
Like that, okay? So I'm standing in the shadows at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm watching him, and he's starting to drop down below me. And out of the corner of my right eye, I can see flashing in the shadows, like of where there's actually sunlight, that I'm like, something's coming from my right, and it's hitting, like, I can just see it like flashing its shadows across the trees that are getting hit by the sun. So I look over, dude, it's the doe and the 4-point, and they're heading straight to me. They're at 20 yards. Yeah. Okay. So they're at 20 yards, and this stupid little 1x2 comes up to the doe and starts blowing in her face. And I'm like, what the freak's going on? So I can see the buck, the doe. If this buck comes to where the doe is, I have a 20-yard shot, broadside.
Right.
The buck is like
stuck behind her,
covered. Okay. So I range the doe, and I'm sitting there waiting. I'm at full draw at this point. Mm-hmm. This stupid little buck's blowing this doe's face. So she runs down the hill, and this big 3x4 is just kind of like, what's going on? And he kind of like takes a step to go downhill. I don't have a step. So I'm at full draw walking up the hill now, trying to get a shot. And this is where the Garmin's awesome. Just keep ranging him as I'm doing this. And it's going from 20 where the doe was to 24. The buck was at 24 yards.
Yeah.
And all I had was a shot at his butt.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what I ranged. I'm waiting for him to like turn back or something, and boom, he bounds off. No shot opportunity. I let down. I try and chase after him. No dice. So we sneak into, I just kind of like make my way through the trees, following their tracks, and eventually gets to a place where it's just deer central. Fresh track all that morning. Can't follow him anymore. Mm-hmm. So I hike back to Isaac and, tell him about what happened, and 24 yards from this awesome buck, but no opportunity, no shot, just too much brush. So that's stock number 4, okay, of the day. It's not even 11 o'clock.
Not even.
At this point, okay? And so we sit there, kind of evaluate what's going on, and just say, hey, let's go to the junior high. Like, the elementary's been nice. Let's go to the junior high. All right, so we wanted to head to the junior high, which was in the same direction of that big basin. So we kind of knew, like, hey, nothing's in the junior high, then the basin's kind of the high school. We'll just kind of head over there.
Yeah.
So what people may or may not know, depending upon if you know Isaac or not, Isaac has killed some giants. And so it's not that a mule deer of the stature which we were chasing wouldn't get him excited. It's just a matter of what makes him lose his mind. Mm-hmm. And so if you go to Instagram and you look at Isaac's profile, scroll down, or maybe you can post some more recent pictures so when this goes out, people can see. But Isaac has killed one of the most iconic deer of the Wasatch Front, which was a giant 33-inch or 32-inch.
No, the 3-point? The 31.
31-inch 3-point. That there's no Chuck Adams going on in that photo. I've seen it in person many times.
Yeah.
It is the coolest 3-point on earth.
It's so wide and yeah, it's such a cool deer.
This was 2010.
I could see it not scoring as high as some
I wouldn't even care.
Other deer because it doesn't have but the frame is just ridiculous. And still,
what did that buck score?
So he ended up scoring. He was 180. 180
with that frame. 180.
With that frame,
he seems like a 200-inch deer.
And that's what the guy after he scored him. The guy that scored him for me called me right away and said if he would have had his 4s. He said he would have been.
He seems like a 200-inch deer when you look at the photo and when you look at him. Except that you can tell if you've been around deer enough, he's missing some of that stuff, but he has that frame that's why he's so cool. Yeah.
So the reason I tell you that is,
yeah, what a buck, dude.
With each of those 4 stocks, this is Isaac's spot, and I respect that. Okay.
Yeah.
I will never tell anybody where it is. I will never take anybody there. The only time I'm going in there is when it's with Isaac, and then on top of that, anytime we see a deer, if I'm getting excited about it, I'm checking to see if he's excited about it, and the first thing I would ask him is, you going after that deer? And I told him, dude, you got the first right of refusal.
Right.
But
this is your spot.
If you don't want it,
I'd like to take it.
I'm going to probably try and kill it, okay? Yeah. So that's why we're on stock number 4 already.
That's why you're Robin, he's Batman.
Exactly. And I'm like I said, I'm fine with that.
Right.
When we were coming out of the elementary, we ran into like a hiker, not a hunter, but like a just somebody up recreating and hiking around the mountains. Mm-hmm. And sometimes depending upon who it is, because of Salt Lake City, it could be somebody that is cool with hunting or somebody that is not cool with hunting. So you're either going to have a brief conversation or maybe a big altercation. It just depends.
Right.
You never know.
Yeah.
Super cool guy. He's like, hey, just so you guys know, down in the bottom where the trail comes out and you got that big drainage to the right and then that fork to the left, there was a nice 3x4 down there chasing a doe. It looked like somebody may have kicked it off the mountain and it was heading over this way, but I bet you he's probably going to want to come back up. And we're like,
I'm like 3x4, okay, guy. Yeah.
He's wearing North Face jacket,
Right,
piranha pants.
But he's hooking you up. He's like,
well, I mean,
my guess.
I don't think he's a hunter.
I don't think he's a hunter either.
Right.
Do not
No. I agree.
Yeah.
And I hear this a lot of times because on the Wasatch Front, remember, you're going to be seeing hikers like crazy. I mean, a good example is here we are with like our 30-pound pack on. We got gaiters. We got all of our gear on. I mean, I took my son-in-law first time hunting up there. We're trekking poles, hiking up, and right behind us, this girl comes in like booty shorts and just, like a shirt, okay, with the little water bottle in her hand, blazing up the trail, just trail running, just blazing by us. We're thinking we're, backcountry with our trekking poles and that. And she just comes zipping by because that's the thing. You're always going to see people on this area. And so some
of the spots I hunted with Snyder for elk, we were hikers everywhere. Yeah. Backpackers.
So same thing here.
REI types. They were always super cool and very interested in what we were doing.
Yes. Exactly. So with this situation here, I mean, so you always hear them, hey, we saw some deer down low. Yeah, there's some deer over there. And you're like, okay, it's, because they don't
take it for what it's worth.
You don't think they know what a big deer is.
Right.
So anyway, go on.
So we're like, sweet. Well, we're not going to drop down the 1,000 feet of elevation. We just came up to go after that deer. Let's stick with the plan. We can actually glass down into the area he's talking to as we wrap around this face.
Yeah.
So we continue, with our destination in mind. And then all of a sudden we see a flash down below us about 300 yards or so, 250, 300 yards.
Yeah.
And we're looking at it and you can tell it's a doe. And then you just see big body, like giant body.
Yeah.
And we have enough time to go like this, confirm it's a buck. And his wheels are spinning. That's a buck. That's a big buck. That's a big buck. Immediately an arrow is out of his quiver and knocked, okay? And mind you, this buck is running full steam. And the way that this mountain, it kind of saddles in two different places, the natural drainage would take them up to the further saddle, and there's a little gully in the bottom. So we went and hurry, and basically stock number 5 is on now, okay? So I've got the camera rolling now. He's got the arrow knocked. We're racing over because this deer, we're wanting to intersect at one of these two saddles, okay? So we get to the first saddle, no deer, no noise. Hurry and run to the second saddle, no deer, no noise. But we sit there, and we can kind of glass through the aspens down below. We're waiting to see if he's coming up. Can't see anything. All of a sudden, I see movement. I look over, and it's the husband and wife on the same trail as us that they had kind of made their way, and they're making their way back. And so I'm like,
the husband and wife hunting couple.
Yeah.
Yes. So Isaac's like, dude, let's go back to where we first saw him.
It's a glassing spot. So over there, where I hunt, I always have these little glassing spots. I've learned of just, these are good little areas to be able to see people, and see the area as well. And I just, you get that feeling, that comfortable, like we talked about in the last podcast, is how you're comfortable with an area to be able just to know the layout of the mountain and just see where, get a good look to see where things are.
And I'll be honest with you, when he said he wanted to go back there, I was like, I don't know if that's the best plan. Like, we walked by that area. That's where we saw the deer. But I was like, inside of me, I was like, that doesn't seem like that's the area that deer are going to be. I kept thinking of that basin. I kept thinking about plan A that we ditched that morning. That's all I could think about. And, but it's Isaac's area, Isaac's spot. He's Batman. I'm Robin. I kind of sit in the passenger seat. So I'm like, all right, let's do that. So we go back and start heading that way, walking slow in case we can hear or see anything of those deer coming up. And that couple catch back up with us. And so they catch up with us. And we're like, hey, have you guys seen anything? We're like, no, we haven't seen anything since you left. And we're like, well, do you remember when we saw you guys like hour and a half ago, 2 hours, whatever it was? So in that basin where we were talking, this is what we saw and went after, and I got 20 yards from. They're still in there.
Yeah.
And so we're like, this is where they go. Told them about that left finger. Like, go sit right here and just wait. And, we wanted to help them out. It was cute to see them hunting together. Yeah. And they were just struggling.
How old are this couple?
Oh, mid to late 20s probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I ran into him the day after, by the way.
See, that was awful kind because typically what you do is you lie to other public land hunters.
Yes.
It's called the Public Land Shuffle.
Correct.
Like, and you say, yeah, we haven't seen anything either.
Yeah.
We should probably all go home because there's nothing here.
Yep.
They had been hunting up there for 3 days and seen 3 does.
So what possessed you to, because what if they come back to your area now?
Well, because they're already there, and the area, and it's really not my area. It's an area that gets hunted a lot. There's a lot of pressure in this area. People have known about it for years, and they hunted it. And I'm just comfortable with the area, is what it is, and so
because I think it's cool because you just helped some people out that are new to seem. If they're not seeing animals and they're there, they seem like they just lack some experience. Maybe
what they knew is they knew the right area to be in, but not the right way to hunt it.
Correct. And that's what a lot of people miss. Cause for him, you get on Onyx and you start seeing all these areas, right? You start looking, I mean, if you're looking at Wasatch Front, you're typical what all the books tell you, basins. And he's like, he saw those basins and he's like, I want to be in those basins. I'm like, hold on. Let's trust me on this one. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I've used to bust my butt up there all the time only to be like, damn, jumping back down, losing elevation to come down at the deer because the deer in the rut, they're rutting. I mean, they're all over the place. And you get there's these young guys up there, man, who just charge that mountain hard. Yeah. And they get to the top of the basin. I mean, right away. I mean, these top peaks. So I think that's what it is. I mean, just knowing how to hunt the area, and helping them though too is one of the things is I'm passionate about archery as well. And I wanted to see people enjoy it, have success with it, and just get more people into archery.
And I think you know me well enough to know that, like, for me, I find more success more excitement in other people's success than I do my own.
Yeah.
I will lay my sword down to let somebody else succeed. And I've done it with you a few times.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, I don't care. I just like Big Sexy, when we were hunting Big Sexy in Ohio, he was going to come to one of the two of us.
Yep.
And so when we kind of got some intel that he was heading your way, I was like, Brian, good luck. He's yours. Even though there's still a chance he may come back to me, I'm hoping and praying he comes to you. I'm going after another buck piece.
Yeah.
And that's how I am. And I wish more hunters would be that way. Not that I feel like I know the right way or whatever, but it's like, I truly believe that we need to stick up for each other, help each other out, especially new people.
Yeah.
Because this is a sport that is dying. It's a heritage and pastime that is not being passed on. And so where I see an opportunity for somebody to have a good experience,
especially a young
to get
couple.
hooked.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then it's like, I want to do anything that I can. Now, I'm not going to walk them into the 170 whatever deer it is that we know that's somewhere below us.
Yeah.
As we're talking to them, this deer is 200 yards away. Okay.
Yeah.
And we're not necessarily trying to get them out of our area, but we're like, literally, if you go sit right here, you will kill a deer. If you guys are fine with killing anything, sit right there and you will kill a deer. This is a huge transition area for them right now for whatever reason, and this is where you need to go.
Yeah. One time I had a conversation, me, Anthony, and Ben, and we're sitting there talking to this guy, and there is a giant bull at the bottom of this hill walking around and stuff, and we're having this conversation with him. He walked up while we had this elk there, and it was like we needed him to leave.
Yeah.
So we could go after this elk. And we're like, la, la, la. And the elk is in the wide open. His back is to the elk. And we're just, talking, hoping he'll not see the elk too.
And good thing he didn't pipe off.
And these all running around down there. And we're like, yeah. The whole time around the corner, we're watching this other big bull, like, wander around and go into some trees. And it's a cool, we want that guy to be successful, but you're also out there hunting for yourself, and
Correct.
so it becomes
But when they're not seeing anything, for me to tell them where a nice 3x4 is, a nice 4x4,
especially one that you're not interested in
Correct.
shooting.
Yeah, go for it. If you guys are excited about that, and that's what will get your juices
really
going,
cool.
like go for it.
So then what happens? So
then we don't see the deer. We kind of stand in the area, glass a little bit. We don't see it, and it's like, hey.
And this area is a good crossing. I mean, I'm real familiar with this area, and it's just a great crossing. I'm used to seeing deer, and I love just to sit there, and I'm like, you know what? Let's sit here and have lunch.
Yeah, and we hadn't had lunch yet, and it's like 1 o'clock.
Okay.
So we go sit down, we break out our meals, break out our food, break out our stoves, heat up some meals, and then as we're in the middle of eating, he's like, deer, buck. And so he's looking down in these pines and aspens, and he's seeing flashes of deer running
I
around.
knew one of them was a buck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then you confirmed that there was 2 bucks in there.
Yes.
And then he confirms there's a big buck in there, but mind you, we're only seeing flashes. So we know there's like 3 bucks in there.
Yeah.
Nothing we can do. Wind's good. Wind's in our face, but it's kind of like, let's just sit here, eat some more, see how it plays out. Let's be patient.
And let's try to be patient for a change and wait.
Because that's not usually our game. So, and this doe pops out right where we saw the big-bodied deer run in initially. And so it was like, all right, well, this doe's out. Let's see what happens. This doe feeds off, about 30 yards outside of the tree line, and boom, buck presents itself. Good 4-point. Best 4-point that we've seen up to this point.
Yeah, good buck.
And so we're looking at him, and he's a good 4-point, but we're like, I don't think he can't be the big one because he just didn't have the body or that like structure that you would just say that's a big buck. Like it was kind of like with your naked eye, you're like, I can tell that's a buck,
totally,
but it's not.
I know exactly what you mean.
Big buck.
Yeah. Like there's the ones that look like they're freaks of nature when they get over 4 years old. They turn into a different looking animal, different anatomy, different structure, different. They just are different. They walk different.
Yep.
So this buck walks out, and mind you, we've got arrows knocked as we're eating. Mm-hmm. If the big buck comes out below us, which is a real possibility.
Because we're hoping, because also too, there's a trail, not too far from there, and so many times you're moving in on hikers will come up, and so hopefully, because we're between these 2 trails, right? And so we're hoping that these hikers will push them. That's what I'm telling them. Hiker may come up, so let's not lose all of our elevation to go down after this buck yet,
because it's about 800 feet below us. I mean, and so it's like, and it's a steep 800 feet, and so we're just kind of being patient, watching, and we're sizing this buck up, thinking this probably isn't him. And then all of a sudden, off to our side, we hear blowing.
Yes,
and we're like, "What the freak's up with all this blowing we're hearing? Like, we can't see anything, but we're hearing blowing going off very close to our right." And so then another doe comes out, some more doe comes out, another buck comes out, which is like a 3x4 or something.
3x4.
And so they just kind of go off, and they're that 4 points chasing one doe, and then this other buck's just kind of chasing a doe. These other does are feeding. We're kind of watching all this happen. We hear this blowing off to the side of us, and then we're just kind of like, all right, let's just kind of wait and see how this evolves. We're still sitting eating. As Isaac's kind of like calculating this all through his mind and everything, I'm like, big buck, big buck, big buck. And where that doe had first come out, boom. That buck is standing all by himself. Yes. And this is big buck, naked eye that I'm seeing. Okay. And so I'm like, Isaac, like, get your bow. Like, he's 300 yards away, but I'm like, get your bow. Like, who knows what's going to happen, right?
Did you get video of this buck?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So actually here. So unfortunately, I left. I don't have one of those cool camera things. That's
phone scopes?
I'm dropping a hint to Casey here. So
working on it.
Okay.
I have one.
But you weren't invited. Okay, here you go. So
Let me see this
there
thing.
he is.
Oh, wow, dude. Wow. Look at all them points, dude. Dude, he's just a freak. He's so tall.
Casey spotted him. We're like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do here? I mean, he's just breathing heavy, slobbering,
mouth out. He's
everything.
Rutting. Yeah.
And we're sitting there and we're, talking about, a plan or something. And what did I tell you? No, actually, what did I tell you, Casey?
I had spotted him, but there wasn't any code that was like whoever spots him shoots him.
But usually that is bro code, though.
That's usually bro code, but here's what it was. For me, it was, Isaac, that's a big deer. Like, you had an arrow knocked and you were running. Are we going to put a game plan together for you to go kill him?
And I have not shot a mule deer since 2010.
Whoa.
Okay. So we'll get into that a little later too.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here. I'm like, I would love to kill that deer, but at the same time, like, dude, you're Batman. Like, what's the plan here? And dude, Isaac looked at me and he was like, Casey, that's a sweet buck, but I would love for you to kill that deer. I want you to kill that deer.
I said, you deserve it.
And I was like, what makes me deserve it? He's like, you deserve it. And to this day, he still won't tell me why I deserve it in his mind. But I'm like, dude, I don't necessarily deserve anything. Like, if you want to kill him, go kill him. He's like, Casey, I want you.
That's probably why he hasn't killed a buck since 2010, right? Like
he's John Stockton.
Like he keeps assisting everybody else.
Well,
your son,
my son, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, family kicked in and all that. You know, a lot of things kicked in there, and you know, I've had opportunities. I've just shanked shots.
Yeah,
a great deer. I mean, it's like I told Casey, and I don't know how to say this without sounding like a conceited dick. Okay, but it's like. I would have loved to have shot that deer. Would have loved to have. But would I have been satisfied because there's a few.
I hear you.
Because there's like 3 deer, okay, around an area over there that I really would like to kill. And when I first started bow hunting, I mean, I shot, you know, I got my first kill under my belt at 4-point.
Yeah.
And I was hunting with a buddy of mine, and he would always rag on me, like, you just go kill that deer. You need to get more kills under your belt. And he kept bugging me about that. And I wanted to make sure to kill a good deer. And I held out, and he would just ride me for it. And boom, I ended up killing a deer. Okay. Right away. Boom. Killed the first 4-point. Then after that, kept riding me again. And I killed my other 4-point, a great 4-point, my biggest deer to date, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, he's a 32-inch 4-point, killed him. My buddy rattled him in for me. And so my other buddy at the time comes up, you know, he came up and he goes, good job. He said, yeah, but he rattled him in for you. You got to do it on your own. And so the next year we're hunting.
Oh, brother.
And we're hunting, and you know, because we give each other crap all the time.
Yeah.
And we're hunting, and he's like, go kill that buck. I'm like, no. He goes, you can't kill a 180-inch buck every year. You can't do it. Okay, just go kill it. You need more kills under your belt, because I've only killed 2 deer with a bow at this time.
Yeah.
And so then what happens? I hold out, and I'm chasing this other deer, but then I see the 3-point come out. You know, the one I'm hunting. I go up and I'm like, well, big 3-point for my third deer would be kind of cool. I'm gonna practice my stalking. You know, I'm gonna go after him and see. And I killed him. And my buddy's like, I showed him to him. He goes, wow, I guess you can kill, you know.
Well, the thing is, on all of that, that's one of those things that bugs me. I tell people all the time, just shoot what excites you.
Exactly.
You know?
And like,
do what excites you, what fulfills you. Like if it doesn't really get you like excited, why do it?
Yeah. And
why do it?
And a lot of times just spur of the moment too. I mean, cause like I said, I'd love, because for me for Casey to kill that, but he's going to appreciate that deer so much.
Yeah.
And you know, I'd appreciate it, but not as much as I should. I mean, that's what I was telling him up there.
There are times where I shoot something, you know, it's on video.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I just shot something. That's cool. And I'm excited, right? But I don't actually get excited till much later, like an hour later, or it's like I'm subdued when I kill something on my own. But when I have somebody that I'm hunting with that kills something, I am more excited than they are. Like, I get so jacked for other people that are successful.
Yeah.
I like when Brock shot that buck, I was so stoked for him. I just couldn't. It's
fun.
And it wouldn't have mattered if it was a big deer or small deer. Like, I just get excited to see other people be successful.
And it's with me, I mean, since 2010, I haven't killed a mule deer since 2010. I mean,
yeah.
But since then, I think I've helped 10 people kill their first mule deer since then.
Yeah.
You know,
like this year,
and so
I called for Ben and I called for Ben and Chris for elk for most of my elk season, and then the second part, I did a lot of calling for Casey. I got a chance to help, you know, Brock, and I could have shot an elk with my rifle, but I'm like, we held out to try to get a double, and I almost lost my elk, but I'm as excited, and I want to see the other person get one as much as for me, and there's just like that first year I hunted with Snyder, I just followed Aaron around, and it was all to help Aaron tag out.
Yeah.
You know, and I get excited to just be part of the team and to help other people do it.
Yes.
I get so much reward out of that I don't have to do it. I don't have to kill on my own. But when there is that animal, like Big Sexy, that I get obsessed over, then yeah, I get a little bit like, that's the one I want. So, I'm going to selfishly like dig in on this right now. But for the most part, like what you were saying, there's $2 or $3 in there where you'd be like, yeah, I'm going for that.
Yes.
But if it's not one of those 2 or 3, I would rather see someone else do it.
But here's the thing though, with Big Sexy was, so we were getting like live updates in a sense from trail cameras, the way they have these trail cameras that will send them text messages. So we got a text message it was probably 9:00 in the morning.
Yep.
That Big Sexy was headed my way.
Oh.
And guess who was the first person to say, good luck, kill him, Casey? Even though he had sat in a tree stand for 3 days from dark to dark to try and kill this deer. He was the first person to say, smoke him.
Nice.
And that's the people I hunt with, is those that not give me all the opportunity. That's not who I hunt with. Who I hunt with is those who work as a team.
Yeah.
Those who want both of us to succeed.
I really wanted that deer, but at the same time, I would be so thrilled if Casey shot him, you know? And I'm always about, to me, I look at it as a team. When you're there with, you know, a few of your best friends, your brothers, right? And you're out there. It's like moose hunting with John Barklow, you know, or Adam Greentree. I don't care who kills the moose, as long as I just want someone to be successful. If I'm the guy, that's great. On this hunt, I don't care who kills the Big Sexy. I mean, I want to be that guy, but I'm more interested because I see it as the group being successful.
Yeah.
So it's sort of one of those things where, let's say you're in a hunting situation where there's a high like, if I go for the animal based on my position, shot angle, where I'm at, there's a 50% chance I'll be able to close the deal. But over here, there's a 90% chance my buddy will close it. I'll hand that deal to him every day of the week.
See,
because it's about the success, getting it as the group. And what I like Casey, I have a hard time hunting with someone who's like, they have a 40% chance of getting this. You're at the 80% chance, and they're like, but it's my area.
Yes.
You know, and then, you know, you lose some opportunity. The success is in the group, you know, and so I'll always give up my opportunity to take something if I feel like someone else has the higher odds of making it happen. You give the opportunity to the guy that's in the spot, that has the moment, that is there, right? In this case, you're equally yoked at this time.
We are, but and that's the thing is like, and this is where you've got to, you know, it's good that we had some history of hunting together before this, and this is where it's good to understand your hunting partner, because there was a little bit of a debate, like who goes after it, because we're both I'm wanting him to kill it, he's wanting me to kill it, and then eventually, you know, we came to a good understanding that Isaac really wanted me to kill this deer. Like, yeah, of course I wanted to kill it. That was no question. But he really, really wanted me to kill this deer.
Well, the deer I saw, I mean, and you see by the video, I mean, he wasn't 30 inches, and I want to kill and I want to kill a 30-inch deer.
Right.
So,
yeah,
you're shallow like that.
Well, no, he's got a 32. He's got a 31. He needs to kill a 30.
Right.
So this buck comes out, and he's hot on this doe. We range him. He's like 400 yards away. No, he was 350 yards away.
Correct.
Yeah.
If I had a rifle, that deer could have died 400 different times. I'm dead serious.
Right.
We're 300 or so yards away. He's 800 feet below us in elevation, and he's on this doe, and we're just watching him for about 40 minutes.
Really?
That long. Because we don't know what he's going to do. It's the rut. If this doe takes off, that's where he's going.
And he's close to a trail. So I'm so used to people, hikers, anyone coming up the trails. And I'm like, well,
spooking him.
And if he comes, we are in great position because we could just side hill to the saddle,
intercept him
to the gully,
yeah.
and intercept him. So I'm like, let's not lose. Let's just
wait. So you're just watching.
Correct.
For like 40 minutes. Okay. And so eventually it got to the point where he left the group of does because the one hot doe kind of took him over and she bedded down.
Yeah.
And so he went over to her and just kind of stayed there. And so I said, all right. I mean, we both felt the same way. It's kind of now or never. It's not going to be easy. They're in those sapling quakies.
Yeah.
Super thick crap. Dead leaves all around. No snow. Like this stock is, I mean, our odds on this stock was probably
pretty low.
Yeah, one in a million.
And I even told him, take your backpack, because I'm thinking he's going to blow this.
Right.
And I'm not going to take him his backpack because I got stuck carrying the spotting scope. Because, by the way, the rule was about hunting.
Yeah.
About hunting that going with me. I go, here's the deal. We're going to go hunting, but you have to carry the spotting scope because I don't want to carry that heavy thing. So
I carried the spotting scope, got it out for him so that he could glass up it.
Nice.
So sure enough, he goes, should I take my pack? I'm like, yeah, take your pack, because I'm like, we're going to blow this, and I'm probably going to have to walk over, meet you over here. So go for it. Let's go.
So I've got my pack on now. I've got all my gear, everything. I'm starting to make my way down, and I look over and I see this buck like take off. The game plan was for me to go and get about 50 yards above them, and then wait for them to feed up.
Yeah.
Well, this buck takes off down the mountain, leaves the doe.
And the buck you're after.
The buck I'm after.
Okay.
Leaves. And I'm committed to this stock. I'm this is stock number 6.
Yeah, stock number 6, by the way, yeah.
And so I'm about 100 yards into this stock, and this buck just takes off. And so I radio Isaac and say, Isaac, did that buck just leave? He's like, yeah, dude, he just freaking left. I don't know where he went. Like, I said, okay, he's going to come back to that doe. Instead of me going high, I'm getting more aggressive, and I'm going to try and get over and cut as much as I can into that doe, understanding I got to blow through this goalie.
So you're getting between him and the doe, basically.
No, I wouldn't be able to do that. I'm just trying to, instead of get above them, I'm going to close that distance faster.
Yeah.
So I run down into this goalie
just
as
to
fast
get
as
near.
I can.
Yeah, I mean, if he's separated from the doe and she's in heat, the odds are he's going to come back.
And I know I've got
a
small window to be able to do it.
But this is what's crazy, though, is I pulled away from the spotting scope for not even a minute, right? Because I saw him, I'm like, oh, he gone. So I'm going to get my stuff together, just pack everything up, and then I'll go back, and I'm looking. I'm like, Casey, another buck just came in. I think that's why the other buck left.
Yeah.
And then come to think, I'm like, oh, wait, that's the same buck.
But he didn't tell me that. So on the radio, I can't see the deer now. I'm down in the goalie. I'm below their elevation, making my way back up to them. And he's like, another buck just came in. So I'm like, sweet, cool. I'm still committing to my plan. I'm cutting this straight line over to them. It's loud as heck. I'm blowing deer out of this goalie everywhere. I'm like, Isaac, deer coming out. Let me know if there's anything I should be worried about. And I get probably 120 yards from the deer. I can't see him. And Isaac gets on the radio and says, dude, stop. Don't move.
He's looking your way.
He's looking your way. So I just freeze. And I radio him and I say, is it the big buck? No response. Okay. Because if it's not the big buck, I'm still going to be aggressive. It's the big buck, I'm going to slow down.
Right.
I get no confirmation whether it's the big buck or not. So I'm in these thick aspens. Every step is.
Yeah.
So Isaac, I had to rely on him, and this is where the teamwork came into play.
Yeah.
To let me know when I could walk. And he's like, all right, dude, he's looking the other way. You're good to go. I could maybe move. All right, stop.
And the best part is he bedded, though. He finally bedded the buck.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, yeah. I mean, your heart starts pumping,
Yeah.
So Casey's moving in. I got to give Casey props on this, dude, because he did an amazing stock, because so many times this has never worked.
Well, and so here's the thing. I keep asking him, dude, is it the big buck? and I'm not getting any confirmation from him.
Because I wasn't sure at the time because he was in some thick stuff as well.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, all right, freaking Isaac's not getting back to me. I'm just going to take my time. So from the moment that we committed to the stock to the moment that I actually get to the point where I release an arrow was 2 hours. It's sounding like it's happening in about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
It was 2 hours because as I get into this thick stuff and the
you have to just inch your way.
Oh, dude, I'm looking for any, like, I'm looking for the least amount of leaves that I can step on.
Last 100 yards, you're just like.
But I'm not taking my boots off because I know I'm eventually going to possibly get into snow, and I can't do that in wool socks.
Yeah.
Especially if this is already taking an hour and a half. I'm gonna freeze my feet out and not be able to commit to the rest of the stock. I'm gonna get careless. So I'm just going as slow as I can. I finally hit a deer trail. Okay, that's got a little bit of dirt on it, and so I can make a little bit of moves. But Isaac gets on the radio and says, "Dude, if you can go straight, go straight." Well, straight takes me off of the deer trail.
Yeah,
but I'm going to trust him. Even though everything in my soul wants to continue on this deer trail.
And Isaac, you can see both right now in your spotter.
Well, no, not both. I mean,
none of that.
Both people, you can see Casey and the deer.
No, I cannot. No.
Oh, okay.
I cannot. That was pretty close at one point, but no,
not quite.
So I'm like, all right, well,
but you kind of know where he is though. Then
I'm able to see him.
I'm probably within 80 yards at this point.
Yeah.
And so I know I've got to be so freaking quiet, but now I've got to go back into the leaves.
The wind is good.
Oh, it's hit me in the face. Okay. It's so awesome. Yeah. Okay. And no doubts. Yeah. I mean, so I take one step off that trail.
Do you have a cover wind? Do you have any sound being covered by the wind or anything? It's pretty.
Nothing. It's just constant, but it's not high. It's not.
It's just a thermal wind, not like a. Okay.
So where I'm at, he's like, you got to go
your
straight.
sound is carrying with every step. Like it sounds like.
Every freaking step.
Yeah.
And so I take one step off this dirt trail back into the leaves. And as I take this, I go over a bigger aspen tree that's kind of grows out of the ground like sideways as opposed to straight up. Mm-hmm. So I go over this and I've got another aspen tree that's got a low hanging branch that I'm ducking under, and Isaac says, stop, don't move. They're looking at you. So I'm halfway over this tree.
It's like the worst.
And then I've got a branch pressing my head down, and I know if I lift my head up, I'm going to snap branches.
Yeah.
And if I go back, I'm going to make noise. If I go forward, I'm going to make noise. I was stuck in that position 10, 15 minutes.
Oh.
And my body started doing weird things. I would clip my release onto my bow and then let my other hand hang because it was going numb. And then when this one started going numb, then I would grab my bow again and then I would let this hand hang.
And it's just, they're just looking at you?
No. They can't see me. So this hill rolls. From his position, it looks like it's flat.
It looks like you're right on him.
It looks like I'm right on top of him, but it rolls, so I can't even see him yet, and I'm 80 yards away.
But
I'm just relying on him to let me know what these deer are doing.
So they definitely heard you.
They've been hearing me this whole time.
The whole time.
But what's happening is I'm not going until they kind of like come back off
down.
edge.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I would put them on edge again. Then I'd have to wait for them to come. And then I put them on edge. So I'm just inching. Okay.
Yeah. And I honestly feel like what deer do is they hear, like, a lot of times I try to tell people they associate a constant movement with like human movement, right? Walk, stop, walk, a pace and a cadence that humans create. Because you hear sounds all the time in the woods.
Yes. There's squirrels, there's everything.
But humans have that sort of constant, I'm not connected to the wild kind of movement. And then even when guys are on a stalk, they do the same thing where they move really fast or they real steady. It's like, if you take a step or two and then stop and stand for 5 minutes, that they don't necessarily associate that with human. They hear it, but they don't go, "Oh, that's a human." And they relax, and then you do a couple more steps, and then you stop, and it's that constant movement.
Correct. Now, here's the thing too: is like you're not placing your foot all the way down. Mm-hmm. That's making a lot of noise that your a regular hoof is not making.
Yeah.
What I was doing is I was actually walking on my toes. as much as I could to try and get the least amount of noise. But when I was stuck in that awkward position, I radioed him and I was like, is that the big buck? Like, I gotta freaking know. Cause if it is, I can get into a better mental state of mind. I will do whatever it takes. But if not, I'm going to be a little more careless and reckless.
A little pissed off if it's a little 3x3.
And he's like, it's the big buck. So immediately my mind shifts to Casey, slow down. Casey, stop. Casey, analyze. Like, I just went into a completely different place.
Yeah.
Where I started looking at every blade of grass. Like, I just went in the freaking zone. Okay?
Yeah.
And so finally he's like, all right, that buck just bedded down. You're good. He's looking away from you. You can go. So I start like making my way. Same thing. Stop. So that would happen. Wait. He would let down. Then I started making my way. Got onto a deer trail. Okay. Right before I get to that deer trail, all of a sudden this 2-point walks out and comes and is 10 feet from me.
And I'm like, I go, this doe's going to screw you over. Watch out.
He thought it was a doe. It was a 2-point. And it has no idea I'm there. But I'm in the wide open of the sapling.
Is he in front of you?
He's in front of me. So his wind's blowing into me, but he's 10 feet away. And then he's telling me, do you see that other 2-point? The other 2-point, the buck is 30 yards below him. And I could see that other 2-point, but I couldn't see the buck.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I'm stuck here.
So you've closed the distance.
Dude, I'm 50 yards from these deer right now.
Okay.
And so, but I've got 10 feet away this little 2-point that I'm like having flashbacks of stock number whatever 3 or 4 that
it's about to wreck everything.
If he starts blowing, dude, I'm shooting this thing like. But and so he finally wraps up above this buck and lays down on that deer trail.
Okay.
So I sneak over and get on the trail, and all of a sudden Isaac says, Casey, if you can go up and to your right, you should be able to see him down and to your left.
Okay, so
No,
you can get.
Hold on, I remember I said 10 o'clock.
10 on my 10 o'clock.
Okay. I had to do it on your 10.
Yeah.
I had to do the cool thing.
And so you're basically gaining elevation on him.
Yes, I would get up above him. And mind you, this hill's rolling, so I had to. And then also, if he would have told me, you got to go straight, I couldn't have done it.
Okay.
It was so thick. Yeah. I could have never, and it's so loud.
So he's like,
go right. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a deer trail going to the right uphill.
Perfect.
So I get on this thing. Dude, it was silent. No leaves on it.
Yeah.
All dirt. And I'm just like freaking out. Like,
this is going to work. This is going to work.
And the sun was just there earlier, so it heated it up. So it's a little, your ground
and
soft
it all
and
melted.
Wet.
I mean, it was perfect. So I'm watching every step I take, and I'm only stepping on dirt.
Yeah.
And so I get another 10 feet from that stupid 2-point because he's bedded on the trail. And Isaac's like, dude, he's down and to your left. You should be able to see him.
I'm just like, shoot him. What are you doing?
Shoot him. And dude, I've got binos. Mind you, every step I'm taking, I'm doing this slowly.
Glassing.
I'm glassing, not seeing anything. Step, glassing.
Inch by inch. You're just trying to pick out an antler. It's like when we're hunting that whitetail in Texas.
Exactly. I actually reverted back to that hunt, and I said, this is what I'm doing. And I was expecting to pick up an antler the same way that we did. Never picked it up. Then, I don't know what happened, but Isaac was like, the buck's up, the buck's up, the buck's up. And I'm looking, and I can't freaking see him.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's like, the buck's up, the buck's up. All right, he's not looking at you, he's not looking at you. So I take like 3 more steps, and boom, I can see from his chin up, antlers. Okay? 30 yards away.
Woo! That's awful close.
I'm impressed. I'm like, I'm impressed.
Where's he facing?
He's looking at me.
Oh, no.
He's looking at me at 30 yards.
Does he see you?
No, the doe's up. Okay.
Uh-huh.
He just knows something's over there because there's just noise being made, and he's up.
But there's a lot of deer everywhere.
Dude, there was just that 2-point on the doe.
Well, Casey didn't see 2 though. There's also some other does below him. I mean, if you look at it, Casey was here, big buck here, 2-point. His 2 does were over here, then another doe
There's so
came.
much chaos.
And I'm like, Casey, Casey's got mad ninja skills because he's like right in the middle of this.
Yeah.
I didn't know where any of them were.
I was impressed.
Yeah. So I looked like a rock star to him.
Yeah.
But so I'm 30 yards from this deer looking at him, and I can see him just head up. I can't see anything. This hill's rolling, brush is covering everything else. I can see the doe from like her neck up.
Yeah.
And All of a sudden, dude, that doe bolts and my heart sinks. And I'm like, no, freaking no. And that 2-point bounds off and goes with them. And so I run up the trail to watch these deer run down, run across the valley, and up on the other side.
So they ran across the trail.
The hiking trail.
So they went straight down, hiking trail.
Yeah.
So I loaded up my stuff, because I had my stuff pretty much loaded up, and anyway.
Okay, so wait a minute. Okay, you're watching the buck. You can see him. Mm-hmm. Doe bolts. All the deer bolt and go down the canyon and up toward Isaac.
No.
Away from us.
Away from both
Isaac.
Of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where's the big buck?
So he goes into the trees, and then, mind you, there was all those does he was talking about.
You're telling me at 30 yards he bolted and left you with your heart in your throat. Like,
oh, this gets better, dude. Just wait, okay? So then I radio Isaac. I'm like, dude, get down here. They're on the other side of the trail. They're only about 40 yards off the trail on the other side. I'm going to stay here. So he starts coming down. Well, then all of a sudden I see this deer chasing the doe in the pine. It's pines on the other side.
Yeah.
And I'm just seeing little glimpses of him on the other side. So I'm like, sweet. He's not heading to the top. He's just doing whatever that doe's doing. They have no idea I'm here.
Yeah.
And so then Isaac kind of gets down, and I see these does come back across the trail and start making their way back up right to me. So I'm like, Isaac, don't go to the trail. Stay on the hillside.
And like, I'm there. And I'm already there.
I have no idea where he is, but he's like, I'm there. So I'm like, okay, dude. And then all of a sudden the hot doe comes and the big buck comes. Okay. But I'm sitting on this hillside.
and you have been redeemed.
Not yet. I've got a doe and then that 2-point 10 yards from me, right below me.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to watch what this buck's doing through the brush, not getting pegged by these guys, okay? And these two are feeding their way to me.
Yeah, they're so close that.
So that buck goes and gets on the hillside, and he's perfectly lateral from me, but he's 40 yards away, and we've got a little grove of trees in between us. And so I'm like, all right, I'm going to sneak back up and cut my way over so I don't like mess with what's going on down here. Well, I sneak back up and cut over as this buck's making his way to Isaac. So I'm like, dude, he's coming your freaking way.
Buck.
The big buck's headed his way now. I'm like, get ready. He's freaking coming your way. So as I start making my way over here, I look to my right, and I have that 2-point 10 yards away from me walking right next to me, not looking over at me. And I look to my left, and I have two does 10 yards from my left doing the exact same thing. They think I'm a deer. And I can see two more does ahead of me, and then I see the big buck.
You're just in the group. Like, you're just one of them.
Dude, I was so intimate with them, they had no idea. They wouldn't even think that I wasn't. Mind you, I've got my backpack on, so I've got probably a little different shape than like a human or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I'm literally in the middle of all these deer. And so that buck comes, and I can see him like perfectly. So, dude, I draw back, and right as I'm getting ready to range him, he walks off into the thick. And I'm like, oh my freaking heck.
And I'm in the thick. And because he told me to stay where I was. So I started moving. I hear movement, and I'm like, if this deer gets close, well, I am going to shoot him if he gets close. So I got an arrow knocked, and I start walking. What do? I see his head. Poking up, right? Really? And I'm like, oh, I range him. It was like 50 yards or something. I'm like, oh yeah, it's on. And so I saw his head. So, I kind of backed off, and he turned. I started walking, and I see a doe 30 yards. I'm like, oh, that's one of his does. 30 yards, and I see him go over this little hill. So I'm like, oh, this is going to be sweet.
And so I had two does feeding at 50 yards. So what I did is I knew I needed to be, when I ranged that buck, he was at 64. So I needed to cut 14 yards to get within distance.
Yeah.
So I cut the 14 yards walking with these other deer. Okay. Got 50 yards from the doe. He shows up again. Okay. Perfectly broadside. I go to range, draw back. I'm getting ready to range him. Walks off again.
That's the rut, dude. That's the rut. That's the thing. I've been there before where I can't get a buck to hold still. And it's really tough if you're ranging, sliding.
And see, that's what I have. I have a single pin slider. That's what's pretty cool. I'm digging the sight now. Okay. I really am.
No, that's where I'm just like, this freaking that Garmin is insane.
Actually...
As long as you can get it out past 50 yards.
Yeah.
If not, you got to get really intimate. So I'm just sitting here freaking out. Like, these deer obviously don't know I'm here, but I can't get a range and a shot on this guy in the small windows that I have. Is this really going to happen, or is something going to switch? Mind you, my wind is blowing into this buck. Okay? Yeah. And I've got deer all around me.
I think sometimes, first of all, the rut is on, so they throw caution to the wind a little bit. Yeah. That's why I call the rut the great equalizer.
Exactly.
Because they're so impossible to kill until the rut.
This would have never happened 1 month ago.
Yeah.
Never.
And then you add to that, though, that there are hikers and climbers and trails and stuff. And so even though they pick up human scent, they don't always associate human scent with danger.
Yeah.
Right? So they're used to hikers, bikers, and people that don't present a threat. So when you're hunting it, that's kind of what's fun about hunting urban deer.
Yeah.
When I'm hunting blacktails in Oregon, they would smell me, I'm sure. But they didn't care because they thought I was the guy like mowing his lawn next door.
So I'm freaking out, wondering if this is going to happen. Isaac doesn't even know I've had 2 shot opportunities. I'm not radioing or talking to him
I'm thinking he's higher up. So I'm like, this deer's by me. So
then what happens is this deer keeps like coming in from the right, broadside shot, and then going out from the left. Did it twice. So I'm kind of watching to the right to like anticipate when he's coming. And then all of a sudden I glance left and he's sitting there with the does quartering hard to me with his right shoulder towards me. So I draw back, I range, and I'm like, and he's literally sitting in a window about 14 inches wide. And so I'm like, I'm confident with the arrows and everything I'm shooting. I'm going through that front shoulder. I'm blowing out that back lung. Like that's where I'm going. So I range draw, put it on him, shoot in here. Fuck.
So, but you got your pin from the Garmin. How far was it?
50.
So you range
1 yard, 1 yard further.
Yeah.
I'm not getting a range.
Yeah.
Yeah. Literally. Okay.
So you got your pin, you launch
it, hear the smack, everything boots and boogies.
Okay. So then I'm below it, right?
Sorry. Let me say this. I hear what I think is a smack. Okay. But there's a lot of tree breaking and branches going on.
Okay. I'm below him because I remember I just saw him go over the top. I just saw his head. His doe was right here by me, 30 yards. I got arrow nocked, my bow ready. And I'm like, I hear that. I'm like, I hear this noise. I'm like, what? Is he fighting with another buck? That's the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah.
He comes blazing right at me, towards me. And I'm just like, pull my bow back. I don't think I even anchored. Shot at him, just running.
Yeah.
Shot. And I knew I missed. I knew.
Well, so then
I wasn't sure.
Isaac gets on the radio. He's like, dude, I just shot. And I was like, so did I. Like, and he's like, I just found blood. One of us hit him. I'm like, well, I'm not to my arrow yet. I'll go over to my arrow. I'm like 20 yards away. I'll see if it's me or if it's you. He's like, I don't know if I hit him, but we have really good blood right here.
Yeah.
So I go over to my arrow or to where I shot and immediately find my arrow full pass through, blood everywhere. And I'm like, dude, it's a bloodbath over here. I've never seen anything like this.
And which broadhead are you shooting this time?
So I shoot the Simmons Shark. It's a 2-blade. And then I use the Easton half-out insert on the
titanium insert.
The titanium insert on the micro diameter injection, so I can shoot a regular broadhead.
Right.
So it's a 600 grain arrow that I shoot, and I've never not got a full pass through on.
Yeah.
That's on
it's a
elk,
heavy
deer,
arrow,
everything.
Man.
Yeah. So that's why I was confident that I could go through that shoulder and get that lung. So anyways, blew all the way through him, and I'm like, dude, I got a full freaking pass through. I'm like, it doesn't really look like lung blood, but there's blood freaking everywhere. So like, this is good. And he's like, dude, well, there's blood all over by me. I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to take this. I'm going to trail this. You stay where you're at. We'll eventually meet up. So I get my video camera out and I start videoing, and I'm like, I can't believe this deer made it to Isaac. There's blood everywhere.
And see, I knew it wasn't me for sure because I'm shooting a new broadhead. Mm-hmm. And what was real cool with the broadhead I shot, I noticed is I knew I missed because when I was shooting a mechanical, when the blades deployed, there was a spark. I saw a spark after I shot the way, and I had to have been from those blades because, and so I knew I knew I missed, but I was like, well, maybe I didn't. But then he verified he's the one that shot it.
Right. When you see it, when you don't know he shot, and you've shot, now there's blood. It's like, whoa. You put the math. I mean, it makes sense.
So it was cool. So he's telling me, okay, there's blood over here too, man.
I'm like, dude, no, you got to see all this blood over here. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So I followed the easiest blood trail I've ever followed because it's just everywhere.
Yeah.
Over to Isaac. And so Isaac was 100 yards from where I had shot and where the blood trail started. Mm-hmm. And so I'm showing him the air. I'm like, dude, it doesn't smell like guts. There's blood everywhere, but I'm not seeing any like
it wasn't pink. It wasn't pink like when you hit that lung.
Yeah.
I mean,
and so it was just kind of like, what do we do? Now I shot him at 440. We started this stalk at like 2 something. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's going to be dark at 5:30. And we haven't had any service or talked to our wives or anybody all day. So Isaac's like, all right, dude, we're super ADD. We want to go after this buck right now, but I had a nightmare experience with the
I did. Yep. I had. So the year before I took out a friend of mine and same type of area over there. And he shot one. He shot a 2-point, and my boy and I, and sure enough, he shot, hit it, good blood all over, and like, oh, this is nice, this is sweet. The deer's going to be easy find, we're tracking blood, and real similar to what Casey had, and but the blood, it was more of a dark red, Casey's was red. And so I'm like, so we pushed, we hit that thing early, like about 4:00, and 11 o'clock, never found him. And we hiked that mountain like crazy. Man. So I told Casey, I am not screwing this one up.
Right. Yeah. And like,
I'm all about that. I'm all about waiting.
Yeah. Well, so that's the other thing too, is I'm like, dude, I just crushed like the buck of my dreams. I'm not going to screw this up. I don't want to, if he's going to go lay down somewhere, he actually started kind of going uphill, which was really concerning. So I was like, Isaac was like, dude, we need to call our wives. We need a potential call for backup. Let's go call a couple people, but we got to hike to the top of this mountain. So I'm going to leave my stuff here. Can I trust you that you're not going to leave? And I was like, I can't trust myself. I'm coming with you. So I was like, so he's like, let's bring our bows just in case, we see him along the trail or something. So we go hike to the top of the mountain, call our wives, try and call for reinforcements. Everybody's lame. Nobody can come.
Well, no, the best part about that is I'm like, let me go to the top. See if we get reinforcements, let everybody know, let our wives know. And he asked me, he goes, well, do you have Nicole's phone number? And I almost go, yeah, but I did, but I didn't. But I go, I'll go call your brother, let him spread the word, cause we'll get phone service up there. And I go, can I trust you? And I just knew the look in his eyes. I'm like, this, I know he's not going to do.
No. So we went up, we did all that. We gave the buck. It was about an hour and a half that we gave him before we got back to our packs where we left him at the last blood.
Yeah.
Not even last blood, just last place we stopped trailing it.
And I love how I really like, because it got dark quick, and I like how you were able to pin where our packs were that quick and just go right to them, because I probably would have overshot it.
Yeah, so I just dropped a pin on Onyx so that I knew for sure that we weren't going to have an issue finding it, and then literally dropped right back into our packs.
Yep.
Got all our lights, got ready. Deer, it had been about an hour, a little over an hour or so from the shot. And we started, kind of going pretty aggressively uphill at this point. And I'm like, my heart's starting to sink, and I'm already feeling so much anxiety. But I'm almost getting emotional. Like, I was getting to such a dark place because I was like, don't go uphill. Don't go uphill.
And then there was a lot of blood. He goes, have you ever seen so much blood before? And I like, yeah, the last guy I was with, we saw a lot of blood like this, if not more.
Oh, yeah. We talked about this from Ohio. Like, you're really reluctant until you put your hands on the animal to assume you've got it,
And I didn't want to, I was in.
That's why when they die in front of you, it's the best.
I
know. Or two, I have shot now my first animal with a lighted knock. which was in Ohio. It's only legal in so many states, and recently it's become more legal. And I shot at a moose in British Columbia with a lighted knock, and and I saw it clean miss. And then I shot this whitetail in Ohio, and I saw it hit exactly where I was aiming.
So, and that was the other thing is, I didn't know where I had hit, and the blood wasn't telling us.
Because he asked me too.
Exactly.
He goes, you ran by you, Isaac. What did you see? I'm like, I saw nothing.
That's why I just love the lighted knock, because if you had that, you'd have seen exactly where that arrow hit.
Yeah.
And then it would tell you a lot more about this whole situation. And sometimes, if you had hit him too far back or too far forward, you're like, okay, we need to come back tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And that's what we were prepared for. Like, and honestly, as he started going uphill, the blood was multiplying like rapidly, but at the same time he's going uphill, which is not a good sign.
Yeah.
And so my heart started to break, and then it got to a point where he went uphill, and dude, I'm not lying, there was a bucket of blood up there. And then it was like he couldn't go any further, and he started side healing. So I started getting a little bit more relief.
Yeah.
But then the blood started to slow, relatively speaking, because we were used to the buckets that as he was going up, like pumping more blood or whatever.
And I'm ahead of him already. I mean, I just can't. And I told him, I go, just let me know if you want to be the one in the front. But
yeah.
I've just been in a situation before, so you stay right on the blood trail. I'm going to stay higher above the blood trail and keep looking forward in case we, you know what I mean?
Bump him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so we start going, blood's still good, blood's still good, blood's still good. And Isaac turns to me, he's like, dude, how long have we been tracking this thing? So I get on my Onyx maps. I go to where I dropped an arrow, like a waypoint on where I shot my arrow, drew a line, and I was like, it was exactly 600 feet. And I was like, as the crow flies, I was like, dude, we've gone 200 yards. And he's like, what's that? And because he was ahead of me, he saw where the blood stopped and
slid down.
He had slid down the hill. And dude, that was like, even at that point, it wasn't real. Like, it's still not real to me.
Yeah.
And we started hugging, like, bro love going on all over. Like, it was crazy, dude. I was just so ecstatic.
He threatened to cry.
I was like, dude, I'm going to freaking cry. He's like, you better not freaking cry.
Remember I gave Jordan a bunch of
Yeah.
problem tissues for crying from the video?
I was like, I'm not going to cry, but I don't even know what emotion I'm feeling right now. Like, I was I just couldn't believe it because of that anxiety that I was experiencing. Dude, went down there, put my hands on him, and like, couldn't believe that he was mine. Could not believe that he was mine.
And that's my question. What is it about hunting a deer and getting something like that makes you feel that way?
I mean, to me, everyone's different.
To feel so much emotion and gratitude and just awe and amazement. Like, why?
You know what? I think something in just our DNA but look at other people though. They get that same feeling, touchdown, right?
True.
Hitting that last minute bucket, last minute shot. I mean, it's just those moments that natural high endorphin. I mean,
why that way? Because you would not feel that way if you had shot a forked horn.
Do you know that's not true? And the reason why I say that is because I've felt that same way
in the past. But would you feel
you kind of advance? And
I was going to say
and that's why I was going to say, like, Isaac had truly advanced past that deer in the sense of what gets him excited.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, he was like, man, I've knocked an arrow. Like, I even shot at it. Like, I was that excited, but still, there's another deer up there that he wants to kill and that he's going after. But it's like, if I would have shot that 2-point earlier, the one that I missed, or even the 3x4, I would have had some form of excitement, but not to that level because of the literal stress and strain that went through those 2 hours of the stalk. But then you got to realize there's another hour and a half in there of just, is he dead?
Yeah. I still contend that, I shot a great mule deer in Montana with my bow this year. And probably, I don't know, 140-inch buck, maybe 150, a great mule deer, right? With a bow and arrow. And it felt great. It did not feel like Big Sexy.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like,
I
there's
can't
this
explain
particular deer, and it has everything to do with how big and amazing he is.
It is.
It's not that's a huge part of that.
It is, but also too, if you look at it too, you start looking at the video and that. I mean, I think though too, Casey, though, is, I mean, we wouldn't have been filming a 2-point like we filmed this guy.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Like,
so yeah,
there's we all recognize it, but what is it? Like, is it shallow, or is it? You know what I mean? Like,
dude, it's our culture. It's what we grew up with. It's what we saw in magazines when we were kids, right? It's what we saw on TV shows. I
have my theory.
What's your theory? Because I really can't explain it. Like, why it is that because like I said, I don't hunt for anybody but myself. And the fact that I posted that deer on social media was not to try and gain any approval of anyone else. Like, I really honestly don't care about that. What that was, my social media and that is almost like a scrapbook for me. If you will, journal. And it was like, I will go back and I will remember this.
I would have sat in that stand for Big Sexy long before Gritty Bowman and before Instagram ever existed, and sacrificed and worked hard and stayed there all till morning, till dark, no matter what. Not for anyone else.
No, it's not
that's
for them. It's for
personal
me.
Driver. So, and I don't think that's true for everyone. I think a lot of people do it for the praise of others, but regardless, for me, I do that whether I did Gritty or did anything else. Like, I just love it. And so my thing is, I think the reason that you're so just in awe about it is because of the rareness of that type of, accomplishment or experience.
Yeah.
Right. Because deer that get that old are rare, right? Super rare. Being able to get on a deer like that in a high pressure public land unit,
very high pressure unit too, is
just just doesn't happen for most of us, right? It's the like near impossibility of the accomplishment to me that is, and it just so happens that age class correlates with size.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's what it is. You ran into a lot of opportunities with 2 and 3 pointers throughout the day. That's not abnormal. I mean, that can happen, but for this is something completely different. And I think that is why we get so shook up about it.
Yeah. I mean, and we did, we took him down into a spot where we could take some pictures. We wanted pictures. I got pictures with just him, got pictures of him with my bow, got pictures with me and Isaac in there. If we didn't stop ourselves, we probably would have taken pictures.
But the picture thing though for us too is, I mean, so you hear the guys, well, I don't need to prove anything on social media and that. It has nothing to do. It's just that reminder because, again, hunting with my dad, I'll never forget. He would be at the time, hey, let's stop and buy one of those. Remember the Insta cameras, the little box.
Yep.
He goes, let's stop and
disposable.
Get disposable cameras. He goes, let's stop and get a camera. I'm like, come on, Dad, let's just go hunt. Let's just get up there and that. And my dad was always about pictures. And now I look back. I mean, I'd give anything in the world right now just to go back and have the technology we had to have pictures of me and my dad up there. Cause, he, unfortunately, he got sick and, he's not able to hike like he used to, not able to hunt, he got a pituitary tumor. So he was my hunting partner for so long that we can't do, he doesn't hunt with me anymore. And the one that, got me into this. So I'd give anything to have those pictures. Like my son now, I mean, it drives him nuts. I have like a GoPro camera taking all these pictures. My son's like, oh, I'm like, son, I promise you when I die, you're going to love this stuff.
Yep.
I have, this is Big Sexy here. And, these are just a series of shots with the bow, without a bow, with the arrow, with the guys that were with me. Right. And this has come up a number of times, like this whole grip and grin photo. And I did a podcast a while ago with Ben O'Brien where we talked about the issues around that type of photo, right? And being a little bit controversial. And I get a lot of people that wrote in that said, I'm glad you're posting grip and grin photos again. I'm like, dude, I never stopped. And I feel like, a lot of people listen to that podcast, and if you listen to it, I never said we should get rid of grip and grin photos. I said we should do them better. Yeah. That's what I said.
Exactly.
Ben said we should get rid of them. And we agreed on the fact that hunting has a PR problem. That how we present hunting to the public matters.
Correct.
If we want this to continue, if we want people to relate to us and understand what we do, we better pay attention to the message we portray. And for Ben, the grip and grin photo, the means by which we do that for him is to get rid of that photo, and even he has, he's not sure that's the right solution. For me, getting rid of grip and grin isn't the solution.
No.
And a week after I published that podcast, I posted a picture of me with my boar in Texas and then coati in Arizona. Yeah. And then I've posted every animal I've killed. I've done the grip and grin after that because I do think that it should be done well, but not gotten rid of. Mm-hmm. And I wonder, I understand the argument against it just because here you are smiling over an animal that you killed and people are like, I thought you're hunting for meat, or I thought you were hunting, to connect with the outdoors. And I don't understand how you can be happy at an animal's death. Right. So there's incongruent in their minds ideas on what that represents. But the classic grip and grin photo,
love it,
has been around since hunters could take a photo.
Oh yeah.
And for me, when I look at that picture done well, I remember that moment, and I took the pictures with my Utah retrieval team. Mm-hmm. I took those pictures with Casey, Owen, and Robert because I felt like I couldn't have killed that deer without all of them. They all made that possible. That deer was a team effort. I couldn't have done it without Owen and Robert. I couldn't have done it without Casey. I couldn't be where Gritty Bowman is today without Casey. Like there's a certain amount of gratitude that goes into it. And I would feel like if I took that photo without them in it, I would be missing the team that got it, right? Like we did it together. And so for me, that photo, that sort of grip and grin moment means more than, to me, than, I think people realize, and it's not about, look what I got. It's about capturing that moment. And it's like taxidermy, right? Or the antlers, you polish them up or you do something special with them and you put them on display. I find myself looking like the buck I shot at Sloan's house, at the Soggy Bottom Ranch, with whitetail. Again, I couldn't have done it without the team that was with me. And, that was a spot and stock whitetail, and it was an epic moment for me. And I can't help but just stare at that deer in my house and just stare at it because it takes me back and I am awed by its majesty.
Yes.
And that's not on display for everyone to see. That's for me to see. Mm-hmm. So it's a tricky thing though, because I see where people have a problem with that kind of photo. But I think, to me, I honor the animal.
Yeah.
Yes. I honor big sexies beauty and I'm showing gratitude and thankfulness with this image, not disrespecting it. I'm not celebrating that he's dead exactly as much as I'm celebrating the life that he had and my gratitude for having this deer now. And, I don't know. I think hunters have been collecting mementos from animals since the dawn of time.
Yes.
Yep.
And it's a show and a display of gratitude. Is it difficult to explain that to someone who hasn't hunted? Probably, but it doesn't do you much good when you take a picture of a bloody animal in the back of a truck or a stack of does in the back of a truck or something. I think that's where the grip and grin gets its, that's why I say it's not really about that photo as much as it's about how it's done.
Exactly. I agree.
I agree as well.
I agree with that.
I love your picture of this deer.
That's because Isaac took it.
Thank you.
Isaac,
Wait till you see when I post the one of Isaac and I.
Because he's skylined in the dark, right? So he's super easy to see.
Yep.
You don't miss his antlers are on full display.
And
the shoulder and the neck and the double throat patch. He just is a freaking beast, and you can see it. And Casey's on the same level and perspective as the deer.
Yes.
And
none of this, laying down in the dirt, pointing the camera up, making him get behind everything. I mean, it just worked out so well. But see, I've learned from other experiences though, from taking pictures where I love to have those pictures. And it's like, there are ones I've taken where like I'm wearing the camouflage so the antlers kind of hidden, and I just want to show the whole animal natural state where we found, set them up in the area natural area we killed them in, and just to show, just remember that time, and everything, just to be right there, and just to, there's a lot of things. You'll take a picture, where remember back in the day, it was you were straddling them, put the bow in the antlers, and you go like
gun rack.
Yes, like this and things.
Oh yeah.
But I just love, I like to take time with pictures just because, like you said, it's like your little scrapbook photo album. It's just so cool to go back to.
Well, so Thanksgiving yesterday is, after dinner and everything was winding down. Dude, I was on my phone like almost all night. My wife was getting so mad at me. She's like, get off social media, get off. And I was like, I'm not on social media. I'm looking at all the pictures and videos of yesterday.
And we used to have a GoPro to.
That's the same thing. I went and I've watched like the moments after I shot this buck in Ohio for the last few days. I've been going over in snow, and there's like the blood in the snow and the lighted knock after I shot the buck. And
when I found my arrow, I didn't realize I was recording.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. And so I've got all that audio, a little bit of video where you can see me and stuff. And then I realized I'm recording. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, look, here's the blood. And, and I just watched that and I was like, you see a lot of those like real moments that aren't staged.
Yeah.
That I don't get to see because you can't see yourself.
Yeah.
Then when I watched it, I was like, holy cow, like this changed me as a person.
Yeah.
This moved me. And,
that's pretty awesome.
It was.
Yeah.
If I could,
it was great. And one thing I got to give Casey props on too, though. So, we do the whole gripping grin, but holy cow. So he packed the whole deer in his backpack, the whole deer and cape. Okay. Now, and remember, I have a backpack, be able to, to carry stuff out with, all right?
Yeah.
We're both running Kafaru packs. We're all set up, ready to go. Be able to put everything on there. He put the whole deer in his. I'm like, you serious? Puts it on, and I'm like, okay, bud, here we go. And I go, here, I brought spikes up, little chain spikes because there's snow on the ground and that. I go, let's hit the trail, let's go. And he puts this on, and I quite don't know what it's like, and he's walking with it, and I'm just at the whole way walking, I'm singing, and he's just real quiet. I'm like, Casey's being kind of quiet here, and I'm behind him, and I'm looking, the more I'm looking at it, I'm like, damn, that's a nice buck. And I'm like, I go, Casey, you got to be honest, I'm getting a little jelly here. Maybe I should have killed that buck because it's really nice. Yeah, I'm behind him, the headlamp's hitting him the whole time. And we're going, and, it's still quite a ways, and we're getting down there. And, I had no idea how heavy that pack was. It was.
So we got to probably about a quarter mile from the truck, and I don't even know. I'm going to do I want to see how far it actually that pack out was.
Yeah.
We got about a quarter mile from the truck, and I looked at Isaac, and I was like, and it's basically a sheer cliff on that last quarter mile, and my legs were shaking, and I was like, Isaac, I don't think I can do this. And he was like, dude, I can take it. I got fresh legs. And I was thinking his pack, because he took all my gear and everything.
I carried the spotting scope. You're supposed to carry the spotting scope.
Yeah. And so I was like, are you sure you want to do this? Because I knew what I had on my back.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, dude, I got fresh legs.
Yeah, fresh legs. I'm Isaac. I have backpacks all the time, man.
Right.
So before we put the pack on, Isaac guessed it was 100 pounds.
Yeah.
No, I said 70.
What do you think that pack actually was?
It was a lot. I don't know. Here's the thing. I work in the backpack industry. I worked there 5 years. And everyone always says, I had a 100-pound pack on, you know. You weigh it at 70 pounds, right?
Right.
You always think, this pack, oh, man, dude, 1,000 pounds. I don't know, man. It was whole.
Honestly, I've never carried out anything that heavy. I've carried out almost an entire elk, like a raghorn elk in that pack. And it didn't feel anything like that. My lower back is still bruised.
Yeah,
like it's so sensitive.
It's heavy.
It was
When you got a boned out deer.
so-
I packed out an entire boned
so
out
that was
deer
the
out
thing.
of
We didn't bone
Colorado.
him out. We quartered him. We should have boned him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
ordered-
crazy.
So we left the bones in. Yeah. So we had all the back straps, neck meat, scrap meat, tenders, front and hind. I mean,
He took
we
a
had
lot.
everything.
And that head and that cape the head is so big on that deer too.
Yeah.
So he had it on there. So he stopped and he's able to find a rock where he could sit on and have the pack. I'm like, I got this. I got you. I'll help you. Cause this next part's kind of technical, man. I mean, you know, you don't
You're
want to,
going up over rocks
Yeah,
and stuff.
right.
you know, and oh man, I put that pack on. Holy, then I'm quiet. I was quiet the last quarter. I was quiet because before I'm walking, I'm singing songs. I mean, talking you know, and I'm like, oh, Casey's so quiet, man. What the hell?
Yeah.
You know, then I'll go ahead of him. I'm waiting. I'm like, oh, come on, dude, just get going. Come on,
Yeah.
it's kind of flat right here. I put that pack on.
It's full concentration.
Oh, it is, because then one part was I went to put my hand down to kind of just get a better footing around this area, and I just felt the pack shift. I'm like, whoa. I mean, it was crazy. We should have divvied up everything.
We should. Well, and that was the thing is I thought we had an equal amount in gear. And then when I put his pack on, I was like, what do you have in here? Pillows? But it was because I had carried so much weight for so long to put that on. It felt like it was 5 pounds.
And you know what else too? What's crazy is when you get that way with a pack, like after a success like that,
Oh, you're on
you're on
so much adrenaline.
you're so much adrenaline, such a high. You actually pack out way more than you normally would, because you're so stoked of what you've done.
Yeah.
You know?
To give you an idea, I went back and looked at my Garmin report from my watch.
Yeah.
We did exactly 14 miles yesterday. 26,000.
And so,
steps.
and the thing is, if you were to go 14 miles, like just in a straight line, you're going up.
Yeah.
You'd hit another canyon, trailhead, or another city. I mean, to do that, cause like there's no backcountry in the Wasatch Front. And that's what people got to really understand. I mean, cause I've had a lot of guys reach out and say,
But yet this buck is a tank.
He is a tank.
So he has evaded that forever.
Oh yes. I mean, you got to
It's impressive.
You got to realize up in these canyons, I mean, people will say, hey, I want to come and hunt the Wasatch Front. I want to do a backcountry hunt, get away from people. You're not gonna.
Yeah.
You're not.
Wrong spot.
This mountain range is, you have hikers, trail runners, backcountry skiers, mountain bikers. You even have large church groups up there, and you think you're in the top of this peak.
Yeah.
You're looking at these canyons and you think you're the only one there, and you'll have like a scout group coming up the trail, or across the peak, you'll see you'll see this great basin and then you'll be looking, you're like, oh, this basin's awesome. Look how high it up here, 10,000 foot basin.
Right.
You'll look up there and you'll see a couple having a picnic. Cause one thing in Utah, I read somewhere, it says, when people turn 30 and you live in Utah, there are a couple of things you do. You buy a Subaru and you start hiking. And you'll see the trailheads are always packed.
It's like Colorado.
Yeah. If anybody wants to come and hunt the Wasatch Front, they got to understand, you're going to see a ton of people, not just hunters. And you're going to see, the area you're going to hunt is, you're not going to get away from anyone.
But
ever.
what's great is you just cruise up there, get a great hunt in for the day, and you come right back. And it's in your backyard.
It's right in our backyard, and it's an area.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Two questions. I want to ask you about the Garmin, and then I want to ask you about the shot you took.
Okay.
So first on the Garmin, how did it feel to come to full draw, not have to range, and have your exact pin?
So it was amazing. The clarity, the fact that because I normally shoot a 3-pin. Mm-hmm. And so at 50 yards, I would be using my bottom pin because I use 30, 40, 50. But but I can't see anything that's going on above. I can't really see anything that's going on to the right because the pins are obstructing that.
Mm-hmm.
I had a clear housing
and a tiny dot
that I knew exactly where to put it. And
it's pretty cool. The sight picture is beautiful.
Don't sell.
I'm just saying.
I want you to know, like, I'm not.
And I could be sold too what sucks. Don't do this to me.
I mean, Brian and I have had a lot of conversations about this.
I've been getting hate since I started using it.
Could have happened.
But it's like, it goes back to, I don't care what social norms are or what other people think. I want to do what I want to do. You know, I don't get on someone who hunts with a rifle. No. I don't get on someone who hunts with a recurve. You know, I do it how I want to do it. I'm just laying out, you know, my experience. I'm curious what Casey's is.
So multiple times that day, every time I drew back, I was able to be within a yard on those animals. Instead of at 33, I'm guessing, okay, do I shoot him, just kind of gap him?
Yeah.
Do I hold high? Do I hold low? None of that. I just knew exactly where I needed to aim. And that to me was incredibly priceless.
Single pin accuracy.
Yep. But not having to deal with the single pin. I've always wanted to shoot a single pin, but I knew that adjustment period would have killed me on almost every single one of those deer because of the movement I would have had to make.
You know, a lot of people are concerned about it because they, for instance, you harvested this deer. I harvested big sexy. Could I have done it with my more traditional sight?
Yeah,
probably. The difference though is I probably would have hit a little high or hit a little low with the shot. And same for you. Yep. You probably would have still killed him, but you might have had to look for him tomorrow or the next day, or it might not have. He might have got away.
Yep. Yeah.
And I wonder how many animals are wounded every year because of that lack of single pin accuracy.
No, that's actually good. Yeah, another reason why I haven't killed a deer since 2010 is because, like I said, I've had opportunities. I shoot a single pin sight, and there are times where I've just missed a shot because, I mean, of a great, nice, good, I mean, great deer, but because I ranged them at one point, they moved to another point, and
you gotta take your shot.
And I forgot. I just forgot.
Yeah.
You just forget. Like, whoa, wait, just you're in that moment right there, and you just forget.
Yeah.
And I didn't make the adjustment.
Yeah. No, I found it to be incredibly liberating, and I like the efficiency of the kill. I mean, at the end of the day, I want to reduce animal suffering. If I can bow hunt, create a close encounter experience, have the same experience basically using the same technology I use today, which is I'd pull out the rangefinder and dial the sight and then draw, only I'm saving those moments. It is increasing my odds of success. At the same time, I think it's reducing the amount of animals that are shot and lost.
So Isaac and I did the math. So that deer went 200 yards.
Yeah.
That deer was technically dead by the time I got to Isaac.
Yeah. Yeah.
We just played it safe. But when you can be that lethal, I mean, there's value in that. I mean, would I have loved for him to topple over as soon as I shot him? Yeah, you don't always get that, especially on a giant animal.
Yep.
But it's like, that's one thing where I've got to give it to Garmin that they actually pushed through and did that. And it's something that, like, I love that sight. I still can see, like, some potential things with it. Like,
for sure.
When I'm ranging, am I ranging the brush? Am I ranging the deer? I'm really trying to find a clear patch of fur that I'm on.
Yeah.
Where it's like, but I got to do that same thing here as well. It all translates. But
all the same, I tell that to people all the time. The same issues you have with a handheld rangefinder, you have with the sight. If there's too much brush in the way, or there's snow, or there's fog, the same issues you have with my low polar rangefinder is the same issues I'm going to have with the Garmin.
Yeah, for sure.
At full draw. But I'm in the same boat, so I can switch to a fixed pin with the tap of a button, and
really?
I got 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Yep.
He's going to buy one tomorrow.
At full draw. And what I like about that is there's no side obstruction because each dot is free floating. There's no pins, like a 7-pin stack. You've got like half your pictures you can't see. So on a shot like that with Casey, if you were to put that stack at 7-pin on there and he's like peekabooing constantly to see, okay, I'm aiming for that front shoulder. He's quartering hard toward me. Am I too far like you got to peekaboo a little bit to make sure you're putting it in the right spot because you can't see the other side because you're blocked by your pin stack. So with this, that dot free floats right in the center, and it's like
see everything.
You see everything. You see the left and right side of that animal.
If there was an animal coming in from the right, I would have seen it.
Exactly. Or a branch. Anything. That got me one time. I shot at an elk, and my pins were blocking the view of a stick sticking out, and my arrow hit the stick when I shot, but it didn't stick beyond those pins out here where I could see it, so I didn't see it to aim over it or to raise up. But and it was like 4 inches in front of my arrow when the arrow went off, and ding, I hit the branch. Ding. And but I ask about that. The other one I was curious about was the quartering to shot. You basically shot at a shot that traditionally most would say, in the past, that it's a shot you should never take, because shooting basically that quartering to, you're aiming like for an exit hole on the backside of that shoulder. You're looking to punch an arrow through like one of the thickest parts of the animal. Bone and other things obstruct it. And yet, you took the shot and the arrow completely blew through the body and complete pass through. How do you feel about that shot?
So the reason why I took that shot and I didn't take the Texas Heart shot that I had, I've never, it's like you on Big Sexy, you got a coast to coast on him, right? Because of the angle that you had.
I didn't go through his butt, but it went in right behind his hip socket.
Behind his hip, but then out his throat is what you did with Big Sexy. You went all the way through. So I've shot, this is like...
But I think, I have no doubt that with the Valkyrie arrow, sorry, Isaac.
No problem. Hey, as long as they're bow hunting,
yeah.
Get them bow hunting.
I think I have no doubt that I could shoot that deer from anywhere and it would go all the way through its whole body.
That's the thing, is that same confidence you have in your system is the same I have in mine, because this is my 11th animal, big game animal that I have killed with that arrow setup.
Yeah.
And every single one of them has been a pass through. Yeah. That's from 10 yards on a bull elk to 74 yards on a bull elk, 30 yards on axis deer.
Yeah.
I mean, a huge range. Everything is just blown through everything with it. It's a 2-blade, so you're not going to get, it's like an inch and 3/8 or something like that cutting diameter. But what I found with it is, like we experienced, it just does
damage.
And that's what I want.
And a full, I think people, I was watching a few other hunts. I've been watching the Hunting Public. I love their public land whitetail hunts. They're cool.
Yeah.
Just because they're so, I don't know. They're cool dudes, and they're really, you learn a lot on their show too. And they're into big whitetail on public land. Same thing. They got a hunter over here, a hunter over there. There's hunters shooting deer out from under them all the time, and it's cool. But I also been watching Born and Raised and Corey Jacobson, Elk 101, Destination Elk films, because they're all publishing right now, like a bunch of stuff. So YouTube's been great. I've been catching shows from various ones every few days, and I'm watching the arrow broadhead setups that they have, and I'm seeing failed shots that should have been absolute complete pass-throughs. Should have been the results that they got from like an arrow stopping and then falling out. Like, I just don't see that happening anymore. I got a 505 grain arrow, 200 grain tip. It's like a friggin' laser, like a rocket, it goes through everything. And I've yet to have it, since I started using it, not go through bones and tissue and everything else and come out the other side and be completely fine. So I feel like that's an element of bow hunting that is completely behind the broadhead, especially. Like a lot of the designs, and there's a big push on mechanical. I'm just not a big fan. Just not a fan, especially where I end up shooting through brush. It seems like all the time. And having an arrow or a broadhead that's conducive to that and can stay on target is, I think, a big deal. And a heavy arrow is going to help you with all that. Yeah.
I just think being confident in your setup, understanding it. I've killed a lot of animals with this setup, so there was no question in my mind. I knew I could be patient on, a couple of those to where it was like, I just didn't love that back end shot. That wasn't the shot that I wanted. But when I got that quartering too, I had no question in my mind because I wasn't thinking about the shoulder either. I was thinking about that back lung.
Yeah.
That's where I was, that's where my mind was going through that and taking that out.
I'm not a fan of the, of the Texas heart shot. I've never taken the shot and I'm not really, it's not a shot that, because there's a lot of guts, stomach tissues, things like that are just different than a chest cavity shot, different than a bone in the leg. Like you get into that stuff in the middle and it's all, especially a bag of grass in the belly. I've shot into a hay bale. We did
in New Zealand,
and that thing just stops.
Yeah.
Big dense, rotted pile of hay wrapped in plastic. That reminds me of a stomach.
So here's the hunting gods shine down on us in so many ways.
That was great.
It was awesome.
Well, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
You
definitely, you can use all your skill, but you still need that little bit of luck. And that's what we were able to grab right at the end.
Yeah.
So
a public land hunt. It was great. I mean, it was cool. And that's one of the things too, Brian, I wanted to mention. I mean, I noticed, you work with the backcountry hunters and anglers. Mm-hmm. And I actually asked Jordan, cause I want to reach out to them because one of the things about the Wasatch Front is there's a lot of groups, supporting them because there's, with the Wasatch Front is a lot of ski resorts over there.
Yeah.
And, what's cool about it is ski resorts are there. So the winters are really harsh. Okay. Their winter grounds being taken away from homes being built up there, okay. No predator hunting is allowed up on the Wasatch Front area. And, but still, you still see good deer. Now, 5 years ago, it was awesome. I mean, deer were great there, but I think with the, more people bow hunting, the bows these days, people are able to shoot further than that. I mean, and, a lot of great deer being taken off that mountain. You still find the good ones, but one of the things though, is like I said, I want to reach out to the backcountry hunters and anglers. I want to know if they're also aware of some of the things where like Park City, at one point wanted to build a tram from Park City connecting it to like Big Cottonwood Canyon. And that would just take that ground, just, wipe it, you know what I mean? And, basically become, private property. And so that's one of the things, a lot of the bow hunters, and if you bow hunt in Utah, you hunt the Wasatch Front, make sure to keep, keep an eye out and look. And I'm going to do, even for myself, I mean, I'm just as guilty of just going up there and hunting and not paying attention to what's going on. And you start hearing these things and, the CFO of, Hoyt and Easton's the one that told me, he said, hey, bow hunter should be at some of these rallies because he's a backcountry skier.
Yeah.
And talking about him, that's something that we really got to pay attention to because you don't want to lose that public land up there. I mean, especially there and our own backyard and area like that.
Right.
So, and that's one of the things. So I want to reach out to them and see if, if they're aware and, also what we can do more as bow hunters in Utah to make sure we keep that area because, bow hunting turned it into a little trophy unit. And then in Utah, there's talk for next year making more archery only extended units. They're talking about taking this unit, making it go further down south and opening some new areas. And, we should really jump on board there.
Yeah. What I like about that is just the increased hunter opportunity.
Yes.
Harvest success rates are going to go down when you switch from bow to rifle.
Correct.
Or rifle to bow, right? But the number of people who get outdoors and take a swing at it goes way up. So I like it when there's quite a few like archery only type of hunts because it gives a lot of people the chance. You might only tag out once every few years, but you're in the race every year.
And you're having fun too with it. I mean, and also really you have a longer season because I remember when I just rifle hunted only, it was just like straight.
1 week.
You have 1 week. That's it. The only time you could do anything. You prepare all this for that 1 week and that's it. When you have this extended unit, it's like, cause we were supposed to hunt a few months earlier, but I had to work. I remember cause you put it on your calendar. I remember your wife hit you up and said, why are you adding more hunts to your calendar?
Well,
we were gonna go hunt elk. Yeah,
well, you can see it in even like my moose hunt in Canada. If I'd gone out with a rifle, I could have tagged out on one of the first days out there hunting moose. But instead, I beat my head against the wall doing it with a bow day after day after day, and you get so many more experiences. So much more time out there when you're trying to do it with a bow than you do with a rifle. And then at the end of it all, went out on the last day, last hours, and shot a moose with a rifle. And it's like there's so much that you can, that you get out of the archery experience to me because it's much harder to close the deal.
Yeah.
And I love that. Rifle hunting is awesome and it has its place, and I'm going to do a bunch of rifle hunts next year. But you're right. You get the 1 week, and then it's over. And with archery, like in Oregon, I would draw that 600 series blacktail tag, and I could hunt from August through January or February. So that's just it's cool.
So that's one thing.
That's your plug for the Wasatch.
That's the plug for. Oh, and also locals only. Wasatch front. That's what I always tell people.
Am I a local now?
Close. So, but that's one of the things. I mean, that, and also just like the people, like all the hunters. I mean, pay attention to the rack meetings, and if there's opportunity for extended units, I mean, let your voice be heard to get more extended units out there, because one of the best things to do, I mean, to hunt with. I mean, my son now, he's filled, 7 out of 8 mule deer tags. Yeah. I mean, and his biggest deer are with bows. I mean, he's killed 4 with a bow, and they're the biggest ones, and he just loves it now. I mean, to the fact now, I mean, he even got a job. He's working at Shills. He's a bow tech at Shills.
Nice.
My son, I mean, he grew up in hunting, archery, and that. It was big in the sports. Sports ended, and now he's working there, and these extended units are just, great to have for us here in Utah. And I think we should definitely make sure to, promote them more. I mean, go do these.
Well, guys, any closing thoughts beyond that? All good?
No.
I appreciate you guys coming on the podcast, man.
I know I could be hunting right now.
I love it. I know.
Thank you for your
sacrificed greatly.
It's okay. I am sore because I went up yesterday. That's what I told Casey. I said, man, so you're going to tag out one day. And
abandon me? And
then I'm by myself again up there. Then, of course, who do I run up there? David's up there hunting.
Nice.
David hunts. I'll tell you, for a skinny guy like that, you should see him charge that mountain. He hunts hard. Yeah. Really hard. So
I love it.
So, good times.
All right. Thanks for listening to the Gritty Podcast. As always, stay gritty.
Stay gritty.
Despite our ever-changing, ever-indignant world with its growing ignorance of and indifference to the ways of the wild, I remain a predator, pitying those who revel in artificiality and synthetic success while regarding me and my kind as relics of a time and place no longer valued or understood. I stalk a real world of dark wood and tall grass stirred by a restless wind blowing across sunlit water and beneath star-strewn sky. And on those occasions when I choose to kill, to claim some small part of nature's bounty for my own, I do so by choice, quickly, with the learned efficiency of a skilled hunter. Further, in my heart and mind, I know the truth and make no apologies for my actions or my place and time. Others around me may opt to eat only plants, nuts, and fruits. Still others may employ faceless strangers to procure their meats, their leather, their feathers, and all those niceties and necessities of life. Such is their right, of course, and I wish them well. All I ask in return is no one begrudge me, and all of us who may answer the primordial stirrings within our hunter souls, my right to do some of these things myself. What you just heard is a quote from M.R. James. We truly live in a world that is largely ignorant and indifferent to the ways of the wild. And although some regard us as relics of a time and place no longer valued or understood, we have the opportunity to change the way these people view the hunter and the hunt. We can share our experiences and nature's bounty with those who employ these faceless strangers. And by so doing, we make a difference, not just for ourselves, but for the wild animals in the wild places we care so deeply about. Never stop sharing your passion for hunting and the outdoors. Our wild animals and our wild places depend on it.
This is Ty Stubblefield, and you're listening to The Gritty Bowman.
Gritty Bowman.